got the old banjo.
Gather round, children, as we tell you the story. Once long ago, there was a group of friends, the closest there's ever been, who decided to take upon themselves. They had dreams. They had aspirations to make something of themselves together. But suddenly, one by one, each of them fell off. No one knew why. Whether the drive was gone, or life just came too fast. Some died fast, some died slow. But to this day, only two remain.
You're gonna edit a lot of this random banter playing out.
Well, I'll keep some of it because it'd be a good intro. But hello, everyone, and welcome to a fourth. Yes, one. I can count. This is the fourth episode of Let's Talk, and today we are joined by the great J.W. Balsley, aka Tabs.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going there now? How's it going there now, hey?
Hey. I thought you were Southern, not Canadian.
No. Actually, I'm from Wisconsin originally.
Oh, nice. Go Packers.
Oh yeah, it's that's all you ever hear about. I don't live in Green Bay though, but it's funny though because if you're not from Wisconsin, you think Green Bay is like this really big city. Like people see the skyline in Milwaukee and they're like, "Oh, that's Green Bay." I'm like, no, Green Bay is like just there's like a stadium and bars. It's like way up there too. It's like near the UP, Michigan.
They're trying to build
It's
stuff.
a beautiful area. Yeah. I haven't been up there in a long time, but I have been more recently to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan last summer, which was a really fun discovery. Really beautiful up there. Really kind of looks like there's a lot of like lowland mountains. So not like the Rockies or something. But
so it's not gonna really kill you. It might.
Yeah. Substantial enough that you could fall off and die. Thrilling enough.
But I've always been interested in the freaking if I had to move somewhere, fucking I always liked the idea of like Wisconsin or Michigan, like or the northern states like that. Yeah, and that's partially because I'm from I lived on an island all my life, and so snow was like foreign and special to me.
Oh yeah, especially if you're somewhere where it never snows. It's like completely foreign. It's like, oh my god, what is this?
I was surprised even when I came to California. I'm like, holy shit, it gets cold at night? What is this? What the hell do you mean?
Yeah, even in California, it gets surprisingly chilly at night. I was there for a little bit here and there, and like it'll drop down into like the 30s sometimes, maybe even the upper 20s here and there if it gets really chilly. Like at night.
Literally the first fucking week. 40s. Like literally the first week, we were just fucking closing on the house, and I had to sit in there for a while.
Oh yeah.
And I heard the pitter patter on the fucking on the side of the windows and stuff, and it sounded like heavy rain, like there was like just the storm or something.
Yeah.
And like I ordered my food down. I ordered Uber Eats so that I could fucking eat. And when I got outside to go grab it, I noticed that it wasn't rain. No, it was sleet or hail. It was hail.
And this was California.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I was told that it never snows. Well, I mean, this isn't snow, so I mean, you got me there. You got me there.
It's weird to see it in the mountains too, especially if it's like 80 degrees and you're like walking around in LA and you like look up into the mountains. You're like, there's snow. I'm looking at snow. But like, I have to put on sunscreen and like, but I'm looking at snow up there. It's so surreal. I mean, people out, west are used to that, but when you're a flatlander,
Oh no, that's one fucking thing that also threw me off is being able to actually look out into the horizon and see nothing but land.
yeah.
Like, I'm like, where's the ocean?
No, I know.
My God, I looked at it and I realized this must be what those fucking early pioneers thought or saw when they first landed in America. Because imagine because like in fucking Europe and Italy, there's like all these rivers and stuff. You're fairly close to the fucking ocean,
Yeah.
and then you go out here and you're like, holy shit, there's just land.
Yeah.
There's just a shitload of fucking land, and you can get lost. You can just go where the fuck you want.
Yeah.
This really is free.
Yeah, I remember one time I was working at a retail store in Chicago years ago, like 10 years, 10 years ago or so, and like this one customer, he was from India, and he worked all around. I think he did some kind of business or trading or something. But yeah, and he was talking about that. He said, you people in America, it's like you have no idea how much land you have. It's like you're always complaining, but you have all this land and like all these resources. It's like you have no idea. If you've been around the world like as much as me, like you really see it. You see how like oh yeah,
you see what real high density is.
Yeah, yeah. And I lived a year in South Korea in 2011. I did teaching English overseas. And it's mostly mountainous. South Korea is mostly mountainous, which I thought was beautiful. But a lot of people also, they told me, there's not, as much farmland, like in America or like I think Australia has really got most of their beef in South Korea. But yeah, that's what they said. They're like, yeah, it's really mountainous, but it's like, yeah, in America, there's like so much farmland. There's so much like flat space, And it's true. You take that for granted. You're like, oh my God, you're right. There's like all this flat space, and
just imagine that you were everywhere you walked, you were walking uphill. Yeah.
You're walking uphill or down a valley. You're walking in rocks, which I think, which is funny because like that's what I seek out as someone who likes to go hiking and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, like where's the mountains? Where's the hills? That's what's that's where the fun is if you're like hiking or biking or something like that. It's like just, but it's weird. You take it for granted. You're like, yeah, all this flat land. This is foreign to people. This flat land. Or just hilly land even is interesting.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's just normal, and you're like, no, that's it's just another terrain.
It's just the land. It's just the land.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason we were here. So like, so I wanted to talk to you because you are is part of our now post-home. I will get this word posthumous Dumm special.
Oh yeah.
We've managed to. I'm still surprised that we freaking managed to get you and Dirk on. I'm so happy.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I haven't done an interview in a long time. I did one. I just realized like back in 2019 for someone in Milwaukee here in Wisconsin. I just it's because they get like just like different random artists and stuff like that on, and it was funny because I didn't hear it until recently. I was like, oh my God, I was like a different person even back then. Maybe it was like 2017, I think.
To be fair, it's surprising to think that fucking 2019 was 3 years ago.
Yeah, strange. It's like, oh yeah, that was last decade.
Of course, Wisconsin has to. Oh yeah, I can hear you. But of course, Wisconsin has to promote their local artists.
I'm-
We can't just promote. We can't promote Mike Stoklasa, sadly.
Oh yeah,
There's more people than that. He's the real face of Wisconsin. He's putting them on the map, baby.
I know it's true. It's funny. Red Letter Media is like, yeah, the face of Milwaukee, Wisconsin right now. It's interesting. It's like each kind of state in the area has had its kind of it's kind of like late night, like bad movie kind of guy. They like
like review critic or whatever.
yeah, like
Chicago technically has
Svengoolie.
Well, Springfield. Well, no, Illinois has. I have to remind myself. Chicago's not a state.
Yeah. Chicago
has Cinema Snob.
Oh yeah. I guess they have that too. But yeah, and I was gonna say Svengoolie, and then Mystery Science Theater for Minnesota. I think they were originally based out of Minneapolis. I might be wrong on that, but I thought they were originally based out of Minnesota. Could be wrong.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I thought they were, but I don't know if they still are.
Except New York. New York has whatever. New York can go do whatever it wants.
Oh yeah. New York has like everything.
New York has enough faces.
Oh yeah.
But
there in years. Oh,
but I wanted to ask because it's really interesting. So, like, for webcomics, like, how does it feel to be the second one of two survivors to get out of Dumm and is actually making webcomics?
Oh yeah, as far as making webcomics, yeah, like there's still everyone.
No, not like that. Okay, everyone. I'm sure, or I hope that more of the other people are alive. I don't want.
No, I know, but yeah. I know, and it was kind of rocky for a little bit. So this whole last decade, I was moving so much. I like 10 years ago, like I said, I was in. Let's see, 2010. 2010, I was in Chicago, and then 2011, I was in South Korea, and then 2012, I was in LA for a year. That's where I met some of the Dumm Comics people originally, and then I moved back to Milwaukee for a few months, and then I was in Chicago for 2 more years, and then I.
So you're a renter, not a
yeah.
owner.
I was going back and forth a lot, and then I was in LA again for 3 more years, or like 2.5 years, maybe 3. Yeah, a little under 3 years, and then I went back to Chicago for a year, and now I'm back in Wisconsin. I was like everywhere at once, and now I'm actually just happy right now to be in Wisconsin. I'm like, I the last 10 years, it felt like the ground was like literally moving like under my feet all the time. Although I did experience an earthquake in LA, which was kind of exciting.
Oh, that's a rare feat for LA.
Yeah.
See, we have a bunch of California first. I got to experience hail in California, and you got to experience an earthquake in California. It's amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad one. It was actually kind of, in retrospect, it was kind of fun because it wasn't real damaging. I don't think anyone got hurt or anything. It was just kind of like a rolly one. But the scary part was when it started and you realized what was going on. You're like, okay, how bad is this going to get? Is it going to stay like this? Or am I going to have to duck and cover in a second? Because I was about to okay.
Get under the tables. Remember your drills from elementary school.
Yeah.
All those years of training have prepped you for this very moment.
No, I know. I was about to okay, what do you do? Do I just jump out this window? Because I was just on the first story. It was just it's a 1-story house. But yeah, I was like, what do I do? I'm not trained in this. I'm a Midwesterner.
Your elementary school teachers failed you.
Do I go in a doorway or do I not go in a doorway? Is that a myth or am do I go under a bed? Do I go out or stay in the house?
I don't have a desk. I can't go under that. No. It's actually funny about earthquakes because I'm from Guam.
Oh, okay.
And it's that territory that comes up every 4 years when people are like, we want more votes for our side, so we should give these guys voting power. And I'm like, No, don't do that. You don't want it. Yeah, I don't want that. You kidding me? It was amazing.
Oh, yeah?
It's fucking awesome. To be a spectator in the fucking presidential
Yeah,
elections.
yeah.
Because I'm like, ha ha ha. Right? Like when fucking in 2016,
Okay.
literally when everyone's like tearing their hair
Yeah,
out
yeah.
about Trump and Hillary, I was like, they're like, you got him in. You did this because you didn't vote. And even though we told you that voting doesn't matter, you're supposed to vote. You didn't vote for
No, I
them.
know.
Or, oh, you voted for the other person or whatever.
No, I know. It's
And
like
I get to be
no
like,
fault
ha
of
ha ha,
mine.
joke's on you. Huh?
No
I
fault.
get to be like, joke's on you, asshole. I can't
No, I
vote.
know. I have nothing to say. 'Cause I couldn't. I literally couldn't say anything.
Yes. See, that's where it works. No, it's perfect, and you get to reap the rewards of capitalism. Although I do, and you get to see the future on Guam because we have such high fucking gas prices. And then when the fucking gas rates went to like $4, like a few years ago,
Yeah,
I was like, it's just like home.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, it's true. It's like, yeah, that must have been kind of liberating. It was like, yeah, I didn't have anything to do with this.
Yeah, I wash my hands of
Yeah,
this. But I mention it because for all the geology nerds, Guam is placed in the central north central Marianas Islands, also known as the CNMI.
Okay.
And in the Pacific, there is an area known as the Ring of Fire. You may have heard it from the movie Finding Nemo.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And essentially what it is like there's a bunch of like underground volcanoes in there, and they're like erupting every so often. And in this area of the Pacific, there is a lot of not tsunamis. I was about to say tsunamis, but it's typhoons.
Oh, okay.
We get a number of typhoons that go around, and we also get a bunch of earthquakes because it's in that weird place where the tectonic plates shift or whatever, which is what an earthquake is. And so I have experienced. I don't keep track of how many fucking earthquakes, and I always get I feel very weird whenever I hear people talk about earthquakes. Like, it's there. I don't know what to do. I'm like, yeah, the ground's shaking. Oh no. And then you just give it a minute. It's
Yeah, just write
good.
it out. Surf
It's
it
fine.
out.
If it was anything cataclysmic, don't worry. You'll be dead.
Just surf the ground for a
It's
little bit.
okay. Yeah. Ride the wave,
Just write
baby.
it out.
Yeah,
Ride
it'll
it
be
out.
fine.
Just ride her out. It'll be fine. 8.5. It don't matter. Just ride her out.
Oh, don't mind that. That was my glass clinking. I do have my coffee
Oh,
here.
okay. Yeah, I'm just drinking some tea right now. Drinking some roasted green tea. Which,
Roasted and toasted.
yeah, it's nice. It's I'm a big tea nerd. It's funny. It's like I almost use it like medicine. Here's some matcha. Here's some oolongs. Now to have some Turkish tea.
Actually, you know what's fucking
What is
weird?
it?
and this is, and I'm not just saying this to rope it back around, but it is a great way to rope it back around. That you just reminded me of. There's a webcomic called Sister Claire, and I want to
Sounds
fucking
familiar.
look at some of these things.
Sounds
Huh?
familiar. I don't know if I've seen it.
It's fairly popular. It's on Hiveworks now, but
I might have seen it.
I'd go into what it is, but it's whatever. The thing about it, though, that was really interesting was they have merch, as like a lot of webcomics do. And they have the weirdest merch I've ever seen, and I never seen this before. But they had custom tea mixes. Like you could have they had like a peppermint one.
Oh,
There's
seriously?
like ones with different combinations for different characters and stuff. And I'm like, this is neat as hell.
I should do that with the grime, the hyena.
And I don't know what kind of. what kind of tea combinations would fit some of these characters? What kind of tea combination would Skanky drink?
Just vodka.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that isn't like some sugary, sweet, or alcoholic cocktail.
Just straight vodka. Vodka and sugar.
No, it's vodka with a tea bag.
Oh yeah, just a tea bag of sugar.
Yeah.
Just put sugar in a tea bag.
Perfect.
There you go.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's her tea
Sugar.
right there.
Sugar.
I am curious though. So you mentioned how you were in LA and that's how you met the dumb guys. I assume you're not an animator.
No,
right?
actually, I never was, and I like in the end, it was something I didn't know if I wanted to do, and kind of like the closer I got to it, I was like, it's just not for me.
I don't know.
It was. I mean, it was fine for some people.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people that love, working at Disney or
Mhm.
anything like that, and that's cool. But for me, I was like, it was like it wasn't the stuff I was originally inspired by, and like
Mhm.
I like a lot of the stuff I like was more, like more like independent comics, like underground comics, stuff like that.
Yeah, like
And
yeah, I get that because looking at like the Devil's Henchmen, it's like or especially Root Hog or Die. It's very pulp comic-y.
yeah,
know.
it's kind of like it's almost like you walk into the wrong like room in a way, and you're like it's not like that. It's not quite for me. It's like everyone has different paths. So
Yeah.
That,
I mean, I'm not grilling you here.
No, it's not that because a lot of people assume that I was, and I actually never was.
Oh yeah.
Like I
You're the odd man out. You're the one person who came in and was like, "No, I'm an actual webcomic artist. I want to do this."
I'm a poser. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry. But initially, I was like, especially the first time I went. Well, the first time I went was a dud. We lived. I lived in Reseda the first time we went out there, like way in the valley, like way far away from downtown, and we actually lived. I kind of have like a crazy friend out there. Actually, I'm going to see him in a few days. I'm going out to LA in a few days just to visit my friend. But we lived in the Karate Kid house where they filmed the first Karate Kid back in 1984 or 5. We live in that apartment complex.
This is the garage where Mr. Miyagi is reminded of the time he killed.
Yeah, it was like, and recently they actually built like last time I was there, it looked like they built some houses in the big field. But when I was there, that big field where he's being chased, he throws his bike against like the wire fence was like all still there. It really hadn't changed too much.
Oh.
I was like, I think there's like one palm tree missing. I mean, that was pretty good.
That one came away.
But it looked like, if you watch the movie, I was like, yeah, that's like where I'm living. Where I used to live. It was weird. But in reality, it was kind of like, it was a crazy place, and there were some pretty crazy people living there.
Oh, I bet some of the less savory parts of California.
Yeah. I think we had like a crackhead living next to us. They're always like banging on your door wanting cigarettes. Like, I don't smoke cigarettes. Like, none of us smoke cigarettes. Like all sorts of weird shit. LA is a very interesting place.
Yeah. So how did you come in contact with the dumb people?
Well, initially back, probably late 2010ish, early 2011, right? Actually, around the same time I moved to South Korea, or like I was just about to move to South Korea, basically, to do to try the English teaching, which was actually a pretty interesting experience in its own. But and then from there, I think that was around the time I had started making comics again myself. There's a while I went to art school, and then there's a while afterwards where is it like where I went? I went to like the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, but when I went there, they didn't really have comics or anything like that, and it was very
Yeah,
like they didn't really know what to do with me because I was like, I want to make comics. Yeah, and
industrial.
yeah, like I ended up majoring in illustration and stuff, but then it was just like it's still not quite what I want to do. I mean, I'll do I freelance and stuff, but it's still like telling stories and stuff like that, and or just doing like little
Mhm.
scenarios or oddball little one-offs is kind of fun. But eventually, but anyway, yeah, but then uh, let's see, around 2010, yeah, 2011, I was in South Korea, and I was making comics again, and just seeing like what was out there, like that's kind of like when I was exploring a lot of seeing who's who in comics and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I was
Yeah, I mean, 2010, there was a number. That was like the heyday for webcomics. There was like everyone
yeah, yeah,
had
and
one. Rooster Teeth
yeah,
had
like
one.
I listened to some of your other interviews recently just to get ready for this one, and no,
Oh
yeah,
no, did you listen to Rusty's?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
but I remember you guys said the same thing. You're like, oh yeah, that was like a really good time for comics. Like, yeah, 2008 ish, 2009 ish, 2010.
yeah. Like if you look at and you can look at me, audience, you can participate in this too. If you look at like a lot of like webcomics, even nowadays, like if you go to the first page and look at the date, when did they start? Usually 2007, 2008, and then like around 2010 is when they started getting picked up, or they started to find their
Oh
motivation
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so around then, I would just like leave a lot of comments on Dumb Comics and stuff like that. And then I moved to LA
Oh,
because I was like, well, what should I don't know if I really want to stay in Korea another year. It's interesting, but it's like,
mhm.
it feels so foreign, which is interesting,
Yeah.
which is a totally different experience, which is kind of a good experience to have because you kind of wake up, to how the rest of the world views Americans and stuff, good and bad.
Yeah, you get to experience different cultures and have a different
Yeah,
perspective
and
on
also
things.
actually feel, be the foreigner, be the people are looking at,
Oh
like,
yeah.
especially older generations would really look at you, like, oh well, I'll be, not even not to be out, rude, just like, just kind of like, oh,
Oh yeah.
you know, American,
Uh,
interesting, yeah.
trust me. There's I know all about the how racist as Asians can
Oh.
be.
Well, I don't know. That's just how it felt to me. It just felt like, oh, like I'll be, but I don't know. That kind of feel, but yeah, I really
Yeah.
liked the culture, and also like I don't want to get off topic too much, but I really liked the culture and the mountains. We can get back to that later. But anyway, uh, sorry,
So
it's easy
good.
to do. But anyway, yeah, and then in 2012, yeah, then I did go to LA, and then I went to a lot of comic conventions and stuff like that, and I did meet a lot of people.
Mm.
And then a lot of them gave me good advice too. A lot of people from Dumb Comics gave me good advice on the animation industry. They've invited me. I think, Gab, I think, invited me to a party with animators and stuff like that. And it was pretty cool talking
Mhm.
to a lot of people. But ultimately, in the end, especially after the second time I lived in LA, 'cause the second time I lived in LA, I was still kind of experimenting. I was like, well, should I go there one more time? Is that really what I want
Maybe
to
I do
do? And I
this.
was like, last time I just lived in Reseda, and I didn't really have much of an experience. And this time I have a car, so I'll try it one more time because I'm like more prepared. Maybe I just want to live in LA. And so the second time I had more of an experience, and actually living in LA, and I was still like, it's definitely for I think the industry is a perfect route for a lot of people, but to me, I just never felt like I never really knew what I was doing. I was really
Comfortable.
clumsy with everything, and just like I was just like I really like that, just want to keep freelancing and just keep trying to make my own comics. And it was kind of like slow on and off afterwards. And then more recently, I'm like, yeah, I just want to keep doing that. I don't want to be. I want to get a little bit more productive with it, and not like drag my feet anymore with it. Which is more recently. But so I was doing a lot of just all sort like a lot of maybe 2016, 17. I was doing a lot of like fan art kind of stuff. I was trying to. I was never very good at it. But
Well, you had to start somewhere.
but yeah, around like 2012, yeah, I met a lot of people in LA, and it was cool and exciting and everything. But and eventually I was just like, well, I had the same kind of thoughts I did the second time. I was like, well, maybe I don't know if this is right for me, and also my living situation wasn't any good. I was literally sleeping on a couch for a year. That was like I don't know, maybe I should come back another time, or everything was just kind of bad, and like some of my other friends were having problems, and one of my other roommate was in jail for like several months.
Oh, gee.
So,
I see.
so yeah, everything was just like totally insane, and I was just like, okay, I don't know.
I don't know if this is the place for me.
But I met a lot of nice people too, especially a lot of the local people who were very, very nice, and even like that's one thing I learned about LA. Like a lot of local people are like they always seem like the coolest people. Just like a lot of the locals out there,
Yeah.
there's families of people, But some of the worst people are the ones that go out there. And there's like, yeah, man,
Because the locals are the people that have seen it all, and they're like, yeah, this is just what it is. Whatever.
So, but yeah, I mean, LA is a giant city, so I mean, there's like types of people, and it has also, and I love the diversity of it too. I lived in Chicago a long time too, and I like Chicago does feel more. I never lived in New York, but I did visit New York several times, and I like how Chicago also has that real neighborhoody kind of feel.
Big city
it's like
vibe?
a big city kind of vibe, like tall buildings, very neighborhoody. Lots of cool little like streets and restaurants and kind of like similar to like New York or Brooklyn or something, or any kind of like just Pittsburgh or something like that. But yeah, LA was as everyone says, very, very spread out. You have to have a car. And if you don't like driving, which I don't, it's really difficult. So, but yeah, and then but later on, yeah, I did meet a lot of people, and at conventions and stuff, I met a lot of people on Dumm Comics. I met a lot of famous animators, which is pretty cool. Got to meet like Ralph Bakshi. He did like a screening of Wizards. I think they were screening Wizards. And there's tons of people. It is interesting how quickly you can meet like just famous people. Like, oh, hey, there's so and so. They're just right there. Oh, it's not even like a big deal. It's like, oh, okay.
It's the power of LA.
Like, oh, so and so, and they're standing there drinking a milkshake.
They're like, oh, hey, it's you. I like you. And then they say, hey, I'm getting my coffee. Get away from me. You're gonna fuck off.
I try not to bother anyone. It was weird too, because after a while too, even after a few years, I just saw like celebrities as like people working. It's like they were no longer like, oh wow, it was like, that's someone doing their job. That's what they do. They have this talk show, or they get roles in the pictures.
Yeah.
And but
you're not the girl though.
But yeah, it was interesting. Like, it wasn't like, oh, they're glowing people. It wasn't like that. It was like, yeah, they're this is it's cool, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, they're just people. They're just folks.
They're just ordinary people.
Folks out rambling about. But later on, just back to our main story. But yeah, then later on, Jack Cusimano did invite me on when his comic ended, which I was very grateful for.
Oh,
and yeah, I was
well, not for it ending, of course. No. That was he made Red Raz, right?
Yeah, no, I was grateful for the position. I wasn't grateful that anything was ending. I always liked this comic, and I don't know if it'll if he keeps doing it or not. I'm not sure. Did you say it's only me, and is it? I'm not. We're doing
you and Brienne something, the one who did
Oh
Heartbeat.
yeah. She's really good too.
Yeah, which she's she's like she's the only one who's like still making webcomics, and she's seen, at least as far as I can tell, pretty good
Oh yeah,
success.
yeah,
You know, as much as webcomics
yeah,
can make.
definitely.
You know?
Yeah, like in fact, I myself need to like I said, I want to ramp it up more because I was kind of like for a while I was like, well, try to go this way, that way, this way, this way, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna keep doing what I just what I know. We'll never make money off it, I don't know, but I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the main thing with webcomics,
You
and
only
it's
live
part
so
of why
long. You got to do
I
what you like.
wanted to make this show. Yeah. If you're looking for money, I'm sorry, this is the wrong business. Really. I mean, thank God for Patreon, because I don't know how the fuck any of these guys are gonna make
or
money.
just like or even just doing like commissions on the side, which is how I make a lot of money. Just like random commissions all over, or just like freelancing and stuff like that.
I mean,
but all that stuff is just like random. It's like it could be anything.
yeah, you can like. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you can go like spells where it's like you're not, or you don't get any people, or sometimes you get like this much, and it's not very sustainable as much as it is. I that's actually a pretty interesting point though, because I feel like at least nowadays, like being a freelance artist, it's still not easy.
Oh
it's
no,
still not great.
it's
not
all over
that
the place.
lucrative. No.
Like sometimes it's great,
But
sometimes it's like
but
missions are open.
maybe I should get my day job back. I don't know, man. But like, I feel like it's much better than it was before, especially with the rise of Patreon, as we mentioned, and PayPal and stuff. Like being able to donate to your local creator has become a lot more not streamlined, but more accessible.
Like
I think.
Like one of my favorite comic creators that I've been really liking is he does like Mackey's Tony Millionaire. Yeah, I'm on his Patreon over maybe the last few months, and he's probably he's probably like, as far as comics, the one I've been reading the most over the last few years, like on and off, but also like just just there's a few webcomics that I discovered that are pretty good, and but most of the time, like again, like kind of like I was going back to what I was saying before, like I don't like I was never really like into the animation industry and stuff like that. Like I didn't like I don't really follow that stuff as much. That's why I always kind of felt like I was the wrong person. I'm like did you watch a season of this? I'm like, I watched like this old like 1920s movie yesterday, and
that was one thing I wanted to. I was trying to dance around. If you go back and watch the Gabe interview, I'm like, I don't watch any. I haven't watched TV shows in fucking forever. I'm sorry,
and and like I think like Dirk said the same thing, and I don't mean that in like a snobby way or even a like I hate everything. It's not even like that. It's just like the stuff that I like is like mostly like older movies or older music or
I mean the tones have definitely changed nowadays.
Because even even when I was like a teenager, I felt like I don't know, I just don't like fit. I don't really like what this stuff is. I always felt like I don't know. You guys like this pop music? I can't get into it. I don't get it. Like
don't even talk to me about music. Oh my god. I kind of blame Post Malone. He opened Pandora's box, and revealed to the world that you don't have to sound like you're trying when you're speaking, when you're singing. And I'm like, no,
Or
nobody
like, or
knows.
the,
Or, or it's either that or you're Ariana Grande and you're just hitting high notes for no fucking reason. Why does
yeah,
she
like
do
as
that?
far as music goes, I know we're getting off topic again, but what the hey? But yeah,
It's
like
okay.
yeah, it's just hard. It's like it's hard for me to like 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 as far as like pop culture music, like I almost feel like as far as like the 20th century, like I almost go up to like the mid ish 80s, and then like from then on, like there's still good music, but as far as like like the main pop culture music, like then I kind of like start.
Mhm.
I just find like yeah, I don't really listen to too much like after that, like period. other,
I think,
other
well,
than a few
I know I'm a
exceptions, and I,
younger
and,
fella.
and, and like that period was
Yeah.
before like was before I was born. So like it's weird. It's like I don't know. There's something that, well, especially when you listen to like really old music, like a lot of folk music or blues music from especially the late
Mhm.
1920s, 30s, stuff like that. It's like you get like a different
Oh, gee.
picture and a completely like different tone, which is
Well,
which you don't really hear anymore.
yeah, it can be
Yeah,
very
yeah. It's
refreshing. Like, even going, but I remember there was this soda joint or uh, whatever the fuck is it actually called, a soda joint or some whatever one of those, like it was trying to emulate
oh
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
50s
yeah,
soda
yeah,
shop thing, and so they would play on their right on their speakers just nothing but like
yeah,
old
yeah.
school
Oh
rock
yeah,
and roll,
yeah. All
like
that
Buddy
stuff.
Holly and stuff. Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, this is awesome. I love this. This is just neat. It's great. And it's refreshing, Every once in a
Yeah, yeah.
while, you just remember. I think my musical taste, though, like you mentioned, going from paying more attention or kind of dropping off around the 80s or something, like, I stopped listening like around late 2000s, as in like 2008 I think at 2010
I can see
is when
that
I
too.
gave up.
Someone else
Because I think,
I was talking to the music about, even though I wasn't into the music as much, they were saying like they like that period because it like stuff like there's more like bigger maybe like indie rock stuff.
you had a lot of like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
alt
yeah.
and
You had more of that
punk.
for a while, and then it kind of like
Yeah.
dropped out. It seemed like I don't know.
Yeah, it was neat because it was like everyone was doing something
Yeah,
different. Or like there was these rise of different fucking genres that just came back out of nowhere. We had Daft Punk fucking coming in and bringing
yeah,
back
yeah,
house. We had Real Big Fish and the Streetlight Manifesto
yeah,
bringing
yeah. Even
ska,
like yeah,
and
even like.
it's great.
Although I do find it's weird. I find myself like as far as like new music though, it's all like hip hop stuff, which I wasn't into like maybe I don't know 7 years ago. But now I'm like actually I like this
Yeah.
more than like like all the pop music or like
Well, the thing that I don't like about like the hip hop now, it's like I will reach more towards like the older hip hop that's a lot more because it feels a lot more gritty and it's more
yeah, yeah.
about
I
flow and
still
technique, and
although
it
I do like a lot of
feels
the
nice.
stuff in like the indie stuff in like the 2000s also. And even now like I like people like Madlib and people like that are really good. They're almost like the modern jazz musicians
Mhm.
like just instrumentally is like really interesting stuff. It's like yeah, really complicated interesting like rhythms, sampling a lot of like really cool soul stuff from like the 70s, which I've been getting
Mhm.
into a lot, like a lot of like yeah, really good soul music from like yeah, late 60s, early 70s, mid 70s. All the 70s is pretty good.
Um, Well, that's
Good
one
with
thing.
movies. I
Also,
love
like
70s movies.
living on an island, I was sheltered from a lot of stuff. Like, I didn't know what blues or jazz or soul
Yeah,
music
yeah.
actually was. Because all we had was reggae. That was like the main thing,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and island music. Which was why when Sean Kingston came on the radio, I'm like,
It should,
oh
yeah,
hey,
I like all
we
that too.
get
Like a lot of good
something.
reggae and like even good island stuff. I mean, it all depends, I guess. If it's more
Yeah.
traditional or more like, I don't know. I guess it could be all over the place too. Because a lot of stuff I know is like
Like,
more, yeah, kind of like 70s, like a lot of reggae stuff. Even a lot of like calypso stuff from like,
mm,
God, even like the 20s, 30s is like really interesting. 40s, that really early period of calypso music is old, but it's like you hear some interesting stuff. It's like really political. You almost hear like
mm,
certain music. You almost hear like you hear like, yeah, a lot of roots of like music that would come later. Like also like a lot of rap music. You hear that, especially even in early like especially like Tin Pan Alley music, kind of like a weird mixture of like blues and jazz. And you hear like that talkie way of singing, which is cool. You're like, I'm going over there. It's kind of dun 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 dun. You're not really singing, but you're like talking over the music. Like speech sing or whatever it's
yeah,
called.
yeah.
Speech sing. It's a German word.
Uh, I don't know. Don't ask me. We have two. We have two. Well, actually, no, three. There's three people in our repertoire that know music or all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
I am not one
and
of
I, and I was never like, it's weird because
them.
like
No, like
no one in my family like played musical instruments or anything. I just kind of like and I didn't like start playing music until like only maybe the last 15 years or so. Like I wasn't like a little kid playing music. Like
which is
a lot
probably
of
for the
people hate
best
it when
because
when they're like,
that's
oh, that's another thing that was interesting. Like when I was in South Korea, a lot of the Korean teachers we worked with, I think they all played instruments at one point, but they all hate it now because they were like forced to play it. They're like, oh, we like you can play like the piano and the violin. They're like, yeah, but we hate it. Like, oh, that sucks.
yeah. It
Yeah, it's like,
brings
oh,
up too
that's too
many
bad.
bad
That sucks.
memories.
And my other friend said that too. That played the guitar there, and he said the same thing. He's like, oh, that's too bad. They ruined it for you. They had to like make it very rigid.
Yeah, you gotta play it the proper
Actually,
way.
can
Proper way.
we edit this out?
Oh.
Can you excuse me for a moment? I gotta, my cat needs some help over here, and I gotta go to the bathroom real quick.
So I was curious about like your backgrounds. How did you learn to do backgrounds like that? And where did you pick up that
Hmm.
style? Because it's very striking. It's very reminiscent of. Well, I say this, but I don't even know how accurate this statement
Oh
is
yeah,
going to be as a comparison. But like kind of reminds me of like late '90s kind of magazines, like maybe
oh yeah,
maybe
yeah,
like Tank Girl and stuff.
yeah.
It's got
I was like really inspired also by, yeah, like especially the early Tank Girls from like the late '80s and early '90s,
wait.
but also yeah, like a lot of underground comics like from the '60s and stuff, especially. Like some of the line work would get so like insane, and I mean, some of the comics would even make sense. It would almost be like so abstract with like crazy stuff. You'd be like, "What the hell is even going on?" It's like it was like very like,
Yeah, it's that
or
whole
like even in the
MTV
'60s,
era.
like before even that, like the late 1960s, like all the Zap comics and stuff like that, like R. Crumb and all that, like
Mhm.
really insane kind of stuff, and even uh the a lot of 19 like 70s like psychedelic art, like like all that 1970s like sci-fi stuff is, I always thought was really cool. Even some of the manga too,
Oh
like
yeah, I can definitely see that because like that's because they always tended to like, especially like old school sci-fi, art often had that almost overly. complicated
Yeah, I think a lot of it's like
designs for
probably
things.
like LSD inspired or something. It's a bit, but like really, yeah, really interesting
Yeah.
stuff. Really original ideas, especially when yeah, if you look at like is it Heavy Metal magazine? Yeah, in the 70s. Yeah, like heavy
Oh
metal
yeah.
in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, all that kind of like like really wild kind of art, and even stuff like the making, like a lot of those like making of books. I always really like the making of Star
Oh,
Wars
yeah.
or the making of yeah, a lot of concept
All the
art, kind of stuff
concept
like that.
arts and things.
And I always liked because sometimes I'll like the concept art more than the movie. I'm like, oh, I really like this book of concept art. I thought the movie wasn't that great, but damn, the concept art behind it was great.
Yes. Well, that was before producers or whoever
No,
can
I
get
know.
their grubby hands on
Ru-
it. Like,
Ruined Star
like
Wars.
there's that. There's always that picture of like the concept art of Frozen, and like how like the original characters of Elsa and Anna were meant to be like more traditional, kind of almost folky
Yeah.
princess art style, and then and then they modernized it and made them more
Okay.
pretty and
Yeah. I
stuff
never
like
even
that.
saw those.
Which yeah,
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Anything like that.
I,
Even like for years, even I had like the making of the Lion King book with all the artwork and stuff, and like a few other ones like that.
oh
I remember even like looking at it was like one of like a Star Wars like even though I didn't like the movies, like the George Lucas ones, the episode 1, 2, and 3. But I like
yeah,
yeah, like
all
I like
things
the
that were
concept
supposed
art
to
books.
be
They're great.
there.
They're like, oh, that's like really cool and like great. Oh, why didn't they use that? Why did they
No, you had to make
for
room for the
the cartoon
sand.
bunny? I was like,
Jar Jar is the thing that will piece it all together.
yeah, it's weird. Yeah, kind of like what Red Letter Media said too recently. It's like, yeah, it's funny. You're watching all these things from like all these great franchises being ruined and overused, oversaturated. Here's more Star Wars. Me and my friend would always talk about it. We're like, it's almost like an American thing. Like, have another helping of Star Wars. You need another helping of Star Wars. Have some more Star Wars. Have some more Star Wars with your Star Wars. It's like Jesus Christ. It's like I like it when they're like,
You may be sick of it now, but maybe just
I
one
know.
more.
I
One
like that
more?
when there are just 3 movies. You could use your imagination. You could make your own things based from that.
Yeah, it's that just reminds me of like how well sometimes it's good to see things end like and to kind of rope it around. Like that's one thing that you don't really see too often. I think I mentioned this when I was talking with Rusty about like how there's not that many web comics that
Oh yeah,
actually end like properly at an ending and stuff like that. And I always feel like a part of that is that sometimes you're like so deep into it, you don't know what's going to come next, and and trying to restart
yeah.
or what's going to happen from there. But a lot of times it's better to just have an end. That you have like this is it, this is solidified, and nothing can change it. This is great, and then we can move on or do whatever, and it's a great thing. And it's even better than letting things die
Oh
and
yeah,
then never
definitely.
being able to finish it.
I
Never
think as
was
far
just left
although I
hanging.
would like to do other comic ideas that aren't related to the Devil's Henchmen. I have some other ideas I might want to start doing, just like random I don't know ideas here and there. As far as the Devil's Henchmen go, like to me they're always kind of like just random episodes. There's not really like an ending. It's like let's
Yeah.
watch another episode of this, or read another thing of that, and it's like, and one things I always wanted to do was not make them so so rigid each time. Like they always have to have the same design, or they always have to like you know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it'll still
in
be
this
there.
way.
Almost
Yeah.
like God, what am I trying? Almost, almost like Star Trek: The Next Generation or something, where it's like you have the group of characters, and there's kind of like something going on. There's a main theme, they're exploring space, but each episode is kind of like,
Mhm.
is still its own thing. I mean, there's like story parts that are linked together. It's still like a big story, but you can watch an episode and not worry about like, oh, I missed, what, 3 episodes before this,
Oh
like
yeah,
a slightly
like
less
the
linear,
episodic
yeah,
things.
more
That is
like
one.
little episodes rather than like one strict linear
Mhm.
story, which I'm not against. I've done a few longer stories and a few like unfinished ones. Although
I,
I
well, I mean, and you know what? At this point, I'm gonna put a counter for how many times we can reference Red Letter Media. But I think they did put it perfectly well. Or like, do you remember when things just when
yeah, yeah,
Star Trek had a beginning, a middle, and an end? Like and it's like nowadays, like a lot of shows and stuff like that, and I'm
yeah,
starting to see that more with comics now. Is that everyone wants to do a big linear story, and at least at the moment, I have, or at least for me, I haven't really seen as many comics that do like other than like Gag a Day, but like an actual like episodic kind of small adventure comics. Some one of the few examples of it would be Bear Nuts, which we
okay, yeah, yeah.
have read
That
on
one I
the
didn't see.
show. It has like its little
Oh no,
chapters.
that one I didn't
Wait,
see.
you've actually read it?
I could check it out.
But yeah, like yeah, just have like little short stories. That's one thing that I've always wanted to
Yeah,
see
and I
or
kind of
wanted
like
to have.
over the last,
Like
and again, like I kind of said earlier, like I felt like the ground was like literally moving under my feet for like last decade. It's like L.A., Chicago, Korea, Milwaukee, L.A., Chicago.
yeah,
It was just crazy for a while. I never really felt like I had any roots. So I was like, I'm here for a little bit. Now I'm here for a little bit. Now I'm here for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was weird and
you're
just
just
like
a
I never knew
nomad.
anyone real well ever. I was like, I would make friends and then leave. It was always weird. Like, and sometimes I even think back. I'm like, what? That really happened? Was it like, yeah, it was in Korea. That's crazy to think. But yeah, yeah.
No, I did. I
And
would.
then I was over
Is,
here.
did I real?
Well, maybe it's good to
No,
have
don't
some
mind
life
that. I'm scanning.
experience.
Yeah, but it's also good to.
That's why.
Sometimes you just need a bit of stability. I hope the printer
No,
is
I
not
couldn't hear it
coming
real
through the
well, just
mic. I'm
slightly.
sorry.
But anyway, but no, no, yeah, it's like, but now I'm like, yeah, I'm just sick of running around. I'm just like, yeah, I just want to focus now on what I want to be doing. But although I wasn't as productive the last few years, I kind of took time to kind of, I almost felt like kind of like what I said before, like kind of putting on the brakes in a weird way and kind of like reevaluating what you want to be doing.
Yeah, sometimes you need to just take a moment to take stock and recompose yourself. And I think, like, especially with the recent events, like that's something that a lot of us kind of need right now.
Yeah, in some way, the COVID was good for that because it just allowed you to like stop. Depending on your
Like
situation, depending on what was going on.
sometimes we shouldn't stop that. Well, we stopped a little too
Yeah,
long.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily a good thing for everyone, especially like really, really social people. Which I,
Oh,
I don't, I can be, I guess, but sometimes I'm just like I'm so used to being alone.
well, thankfully, living on an island has conditioned me to be able to just naturally socialize on the
No, I
internet
know.
because there's no one here.
No, I know. Well, yeah, that's kind of cool though. Are you there right now?
No, no, no. I've moved out to California
Oh, okay.
like a few years ago,
Oh, okay.
and so that's where I've been staying.
Are you in the LA area yourself, or?
No, thank God, no. I'm in Northern California,
Nice.
so
Yeah, see, if I were to live, I love the West though. Like I really love the West, and I might eventually move somewhere out west again. I'm not gonna rush, like I said, I'm not gonna rush anywhere right now.
whenever
Yeah, yeah,
if
eventually.
before
Yeah,
before Balsley World Tour 2023,
yeah, yeah.
or whatever.
Eventually, maybe someday, depending. But it always depends. But it is fun to definitely visit, especially when you're doing like a lot of outdoorsy kind of stuff, like nature hiking. That's actually what I love the
Oh yeah.
most. Like LA was interesting. It would get to you pretty quick. It would be like, all right,
All right.
okay, all right, okay, all right. Doesn't end. This never ends. Okay, all right, I get it.
So it's like, oh, this is where it is. This is all there
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then after, but the best parts were hiking. I was like, this is where it is. Like, I love California. I love the West. Especially driving through like Arizona, all that kind of stuff. As far as actual scenic beauty is concerned, but yeah, LA is if you're working in the industry and you're real solid with that, that's where you want to be. Or or
Oh
or,
yeah, of
or, or
course.
anywhere where there's not necessarily LA. I think a lot of other cities have some pretty decent animation
Yeah.
industries now.
I know that my friend Caleb,
Canada too, I think.
he's an aspiring animator, and he's talked about about the different, like, there's places there. One of the big studios that he knows is in Florida or in Atlanta.
Oh, oh yeah, Atlanta too. Yeah,
So
yeah. I have some friends in Atlanta that I visit once in a while. I'll probably be going there this summer. But Atlanta is really nice and really. I mean, I wouldn't want to live there myself because of the traffic. It's kind of like LA in some ways, where there's like the traffic, but the culture like is really cool, and like people seem really like down to earth and really nice. You really do get that southern hospitality thing.
yeah, it is real.
But I'm sure like if you go into certain areas, like in the deep parts of the South, it can get pretty like scary, depending where you go. In fact, one of my friends,
No.
one of my friends was advised. They're in Atlanta, and I think they had to take a road trip to South Carolina, and they're like they were advised not to take certain routes because that's like a white nationalist territory or something like that. Like holy shit! Like yeah, do not go that road. Don't go on those roads. Don't go down there.
To be fair, I mean, that's not to be fair, there is, of course, other places that you shouldn't go because of gang territory.
Yeah. Same thing.
If you have
It's
a red
weird.
car, don't go down Long Beach or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's weird. It's like there's urban places you don't want to go, and then there's places in the country where you don't want to go. There's like nice small towns, and then there's like scary small towns. There's like Methville, and then there's like small little towns that are like, oh, this is a nice little quaint area. But then there's places that are like, oh shit, this is like Methville, USA. And you just see like billboards and shit with like especially Southern Illinois. I used to have some friends that went to Carbondale, and we would visit, and you would see like it was not really funny, but it was just like holy shit! Like you would see all these like faces of meth posters as you're driving in, like all these posters about meth, all these billboards. You're like holy shit! Like, it's just like meth. Don't do meth. Don't do meth. I'm like oh my god.
I never expected you to be like, and half of them were advertisements someone would put under the billboard. But if you do want meth, call this number.
In a few years, it's like the hell with legalizing weed. We're gonna legalize meth. Yeah, then all of a sudden they all turn into advertising posters. Yeah, great meth, great quality meth,
straight from the CIA.
real clean. No lawnmower fuel in it. No Mr. Clean.
Now with 50% less poverty.
Yeah. Like oh my god. But yeah, certain areas you'll see that it's crazy. Like again, there's scary small towns and there's nice quaint small towns. Like
But you know what? That's what makes America great and why it is still a social melting pot, because now you can have them separate.
Yeah,
You have so much free land and all this jazz. You can just have them over
I
here,
know.
and then the nice places are nice still.
I know. It's true. Yeah.
uh,
But anyway, also real quick back to Dumb Comics.
oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, eventually, but yeah, I never knew anyone real well. You know, we would message here and there, and we even had some video meetups and stuff. But yeah,
Mhm.
I never knew anyone real well. A lot of people had worked with each other for a long time in the industry before. But I mean, you know, they actually like knew each other and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
so
I that is one thing that I was curious about, because so we actually uh, accidentally did this out of order, because I wanted to talk to you about it before Dirk, because I feel like, because you came in around, you said 2011, and after Jack
I
Cusimano
don't
came
know.
in,
I
which
think it was.
was, or came back in with
I
Red
think it was.
Raz.
No, it was after I moved back from LA the first time, and it was 2013.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So
that makes more
yeah, I was under
sense.
like
Yeah,
basically 2013 to I think I
2018 I think was the
yeah,
last
I
post.
think the last post was 2018. And that's when I was in LA and my life was all crazy and like my posting was all over the
Oh,
place and I was like I need stability.
yeah. And then you did the smartest thing that any dumb comic creator has done, and you made your own website. And it was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be posting my stuff
But I
over
mean it's still
here.
not easy, you know. I mean being an independent
Oh,
artist
of
is
course,
always
no,
like,
yeah,
you know, that's why, you know, that's why the industry is, you know, I mean, you can make a lot of money, you can have a good career, you know, like doing all sorts of stuff, like storyboarding, all that kind of stuff. But I was never
mm,
trained in it. I never, I never knew like, you know, how to really. I was given advice by several different people, but it was still something I never really knew real well, and like I didn't keep up on like the shows or anything, and that's kind of like the second time, like halfway through, I actually should have left quicker. But I also stayed out there because my friend was out there, and
oh yeah,
I was kind of like staying out there for my friend. I was like, well, they're kind of lonely. I should stay out here. And but at the same time, I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Like because my living situation was the Reseda living situation was better. But this living situation the second time was pretty
uh,
bad. It was yeah, crazy, a lot of crazy David Lynch like situations. Let's just say that.
okay.
A lot,
I'll just leave it at
a
that.
lot of David Lynchy kind of moments. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my room.
I'm safe in here for now.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm good.
Craziness. Happy
Uh,
times, heavy times. You know, like,
you're in mine.
but as far as like big cities go, like, I haven't lived, you know, I've just lived in Chicago and LA, but I do feel like Chicago, the experience of living in a big city, even though the weather gets colder, I feel like Chicago is like the people were a lot like friendlier and like I made a lot of
Mm.
friends there real quick. I was surprised. I was like, damn, people are like, I thought they'd be like the big city, like big city assholes, but I was like, no, people are like pretty down to earth and it's very neighborhoody. So
Yeah.
like people are more talkative even than some.
All the yuppies were in LA.
Yeah, or in the suburbs of Chicago, like the
Yeah.
you know, kind of like John Hughes' territory, we call it, the director that made like, you know, Ferris Bueller and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And which are actually pretty interesting, like Forest and all those suburbs, like just driving around, like you're just driving by all these like castles and stuff. It's like, oh, look at these castles. Wow. I
I didn't know we even had those
wonder what
here.
business criminal lives there. Which one is it?
uh, is
I've got to know.
is it a legitimate business, or is it new? Either way, we're not going in.
Yeah, yeah. But I also like how in Chicago was very. Oh, I was about to say you don't need a car there, depending on your situation. Like if you live in the city and you like for example work way out in the suburbs, then you would probably have to have a car. But If you just lived in the city proper and worked in the city, yeah, you didn't really need a car. Like I never had a car there, and I was like, you just bike or walk, or you just take the L train.
The bus or
Yeah,
subway.
mostly just the subway myself. I took the bus here and there, but mostly just the subway or L train because you get pretty much where you need to be depending on you know what line you're taking. It's not as extensive as like New York.
From what I understand, New York's the same
Yeah,
way.
like it's not as big as New York's, but it's still pretty big and goes to like a lot of the main areas and stuff like that. And it's like New York is like yeah, you'll just have like layers of like subways. Like you'll like be going down and then down and then down and then down. Like you're just going down like stories. And like I remember one time I was in New York and I was going down, down, down to the subway. It was just like getting hotter and hotter and hotter. I'm like, holy shit! It's like hell.
This is the song. This is what Johnny Cash was
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
And it was just like, oh my god, it's like a jungle down here. It's just like 120 degrees, and it's just like 10 stories below under Manhattan, or 5 or 10 stories below under the city. I'm like, this is intense. But I'm sure if you live there, you're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's how it is. Uh-huh. Where are you from?
No,
Wisconsin?
sorry, I'm adjusting in my fucking
No, it's
seat
okay.
because I am.
Where are you from? Wisconsin? Is it, where is that? Is that a? It's flyover.
Scanson?
Oh, okay. It's another flyover. Where are you from? Oh, flyover. Oh, okay. New York, LA. New York.
Oh yeah, one of those other northern states that no one
Oh
remembers.
yeah. Milwaukee, Milwawa. Where is that? Where's that? Is that Minnesota?
Is that the brewing
Is
company?
that like a beer? But no, it's but yeah, Wisconsin's fine though. I mean, actually, like I said, I kind of like keeping it lower key, so I can. I think that's what a lot of artists do. A lot of, especially independent artists do, is try to live somewhere more lower. Yeah, yeah,
Rural?
or just even lower key, like even a smaller city or whatever, and just kind of focus more on your projects, or even like working a part-time job that's not like too strenuous. Depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
If you're looking to make a lot of
I
money,
mean, that's pretty much what I'm
go
doing.
into the stock exchange.
I don't know. I would not know what to do there. I'd feel safer gambling.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, our neighbor Illinois just legalized gambling as well as marijuana. But we saw a gambling place. I was with a friend and they gambled $1. We went to a place because you just lose your money. You're not gonna make it anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you're really lucky. But yeah, it's just like just throwing your money away. But they just wanted the experience. Like I'm gonna gamble.
May as well just see what it's
because
like.
like, oh, there goes the
No.
money.
Oh, that's what that's like. All right. Very good.
That's what that's like. But no, yeah. And so also just the last few years, yeah, I've just been like, yeah, just trying to. But yeah, I feel like when I was on Dumb Comics too, it was also just a time to like I was thankful for the position there too, and the time to like kind of experiment. Some of my stuff is like I look at it now, I'm like, oh my god, what was I thinking? What was I drinking? I used to drink.
Yeah.
I don't drink
Thankful.
anymore either. I was like, no, not anymore. That's one thing about
Well-
Wisconsin. If you're an alcoholic in Wisconsin, especially Milwaukee, no one will notice.
I can imagine. Yeah.
They're not gonna notice. You're an alcoholic. Everyone.
That's how you know that you're one of them.
Yeah, no, it was never like that. Like I never went to AA or anything. It was just something I was like personally like, yeah, I don't really like drinking anymore. Slows you down too much. I mean, if you're
Right.
responsible with it, it's fine, but even a little bit now, I'm just like, yeah, I don't really like it. It's like, I'm into like teas.
Yeah. Like if you twist my arm, I'll be like, okay, sure, whatever.
Oh yeah. Like I don't look down
Don't
on
need
it.
a
Like,
kid.
most people I know drink, but I'm just like, nah, I don't like drinking no more. Too much in the past. Big to me.
Too many bad memories. that I don't have
Oh
anymore.
yeah, I've had a few of those. Yeah, never again. Oh wait, and yeah, it's like but in LA, I mean people drink, people drink everywhere. But I noticed
Of course.
it was funny, like I was in LA and I was I had bought like um like two beers or something. Or like two like not 40 ounces, but two like I forgot the ounce, like 16 ounce or like larger than a normal beer, like the next size up. I forgot what it is. Shame. But
Yeah.
yeah, I remember they're like, "Oh wow, you're gonna get late, like wasted tonight." I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is like two of these fucking things."
This is gonna. This is
I'm
my
just
month
warming up.
supply.
It's like the first round right here for Wisconsin folk.
Oh. This is. I know what this isn't even real beer for me anymore.
And Red Letter, and again, here we go again. Red Letter Media reference. Well, it's Milwaukee. It's Milwaukee. It's a Milwaukee thing. Yeah, like they're always, and it was funny too because they're always drinking the beer. I know they're like, oh yeah, they're drinking Spotted Cow and all that kind of stuff. Even though I don't drink anymore, the beer is like great. Like if you ever in Milwaukee, like the independent breweries are like the best. Like Lakefront Brewery and what's the other one that's really good to make Spotted Cow? I can't believe I'm forgetting.
I would.
No, I know. It's like totally regional. But yeah, Spotted Cow, all those kind of beers and stuff. Like that's what everyone like drinks up like water.
Actually, you know what? It's weird, and yes, just because you mentioned how like Red Letter Media always drinks the beers. Have you noticed that Rich Evans never drinks?
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't.
It just doesn't.
So, yeah, it's interesting. Like you never bring it up, but yeah, he just doesn't drink. Everyone else is.
I don't know why though. I mean, he maybe just doesn't like it either. Who knows?
Yeah, or maybe there's a story behind it. I don't know. Who knows? I get into it.
Yeah, like yeah, especially like back when I would play. I would actually like to probably start playing music out again because I've been playing more music. I've been back in Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I'll probably start playing out again one of these days. But when I used to do it more frequently, like I was in Chicago and I would like play with bands and everything like that. And there would just be like so much booze everywhere. Everywhere you go, like, oh, we're not playing for another 3 hours. Time to start drinking.
I ain't got nothing else
always
to
be.
do.
I'm like, holy shit, there's like so much booze. I'm always drunk. I'm like, oh my god. But you just get used to it almost. Like you wouldn't be like you would just be like, all right, have another beer, have another beer, have another beer. It was like crazy. That was like 2008 maybe. That was a long time ago. But yeah, I would like play with bands and stuff. But yeah, like it would be crazy, like the amount of like booze, not just with the band, but everywhere. Like everyone would be drunk, like bar culture. It's just like everyone's drunk in the crowd.
See, that's the thing. Drinking is America's pastime.
When you don't, you're left out. You're left out in the cold.
What else we gonna do?
Smoke up.
No one's got a field to play baseball. What do you mean?
Smoke blunts.
Oh, that's on the rise. That's the next.
Smoke blunt after blunt. No. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you like. Maybe just like breathing exercises. I don't know. But
I'll do something.
But yeah, like but I also know Dirk also invited me on to that Popeye Reanimate cartoon.
Yes.
I'm just doing a real small segment near the end, and I'm just kind of like halfway-ish done on it as of right now, just inking it. I don't even know if I'll color it. I might even just keep it in like tones because I've been working in black and white a lot. But I'm not sure yet. I might just color it just to keep it like consistent too. But yeah, I really like working with like kind of like what you're talking about with my backgrounds. with especially over the last few years, working a lot with like ink wash traditionally, but also digitally. It feels like I learned more how to work digitally over the last 5 years, a lot more than I used to. I'd say, especially with like animation. Which all right.
That's one thing though. Or
Oh, no, yeah,
sorry.
some tea real quick.
Um, well, that is one point because I also when I as you can see with my avatar, I usually just do sketches and only recently like decided to try and dabble
Yeah,
in
yeah,
digital, and I feel like I've never really liked full digital or for myself,
yeah.
just because I feel like you don't get the right lines, and you know there's different brushes and stuff that you can use, but it always feels artificial. It doesn't have that rough texture that I necessarily
Yeah,
want.
I have like a Wacom tablet and everything, and like it's great,
Ooh.
and it's extremely responsive and everything. But it's still, I still don't get the exact same look I want. So sometimes what I'll do, actually, a technique I learned over the last couple of years is to I can do it two ways. Uh, One way is just to like draw digitally, just do your pencils digitally, and then literally
Mm.
print that out on like bristle board or some kind of paper that you can ink on in like light blue. Yeah, my cat was making me gag like right before I went on. I was like, damn it. I'm like gagging. I'm all coughing and gagging. Damn cat. Growing up.
Everyone's gonna think I'm super
God.
awkward now.
No,
I got Tourette's.
but anyway, yeah, it's what was I saying? The
You were talking about digital and
oh yeah, yeah.
and
But one way,
traditional.
yeah, it's just to like pencil digitally, and yeah, just print out your like blue line art really faintly on like bristle board, and then just ink it that way. And then when you scan it in later, you can just
Mm.
lightly tweak the levels to get rid of the real light blue line. I was doing that for a little bit, but lately I've been using a light box more, which I really like. I really like those new LED light boxes that have been out over the last few years, and I like them too because they're really
I've
thin and they don't get hot. They're not like the older ones, which would have like really harsh yellow hot ass light. Yeah,
like
yeah, or just like really
fluorescence.
hot.
Yeah,
You're drawing on it. You're like, fuck, this glass is like getting hot as hell.
I feel like this paper's gonna fucking
Yeah, yeah.
burn
So
in
I
a
never really
second.
used light boxes until just recently. And I'm like, actually, you can do some like really cool like analog stuff with them. It's almost like analog Photoshop. Because you can just be like, well, here's a little doodle I
Mm.
did, and just some like cheap, shitty, typing paper or napkin or whatever. But you're like, I really like that expression and stuff. But I kind of want to like save that. You can just like trace over it on better paper like really quick. I mean, you could do this digitally too. You can just take a snapshot with your phone and ink it digitally. But if you want to do it, traditionally, yeah, you can just use a light box and transfer it that way. And it's nice because that way your pencils can get like really really messy and shitty if they need to be, which a lot of times mine are. They're like sometimes I'll like pencil really clean like right away, but sometimes if I'm like, especially with comics, doing like a lot of like problem solving on like panels or something, then I'm like,
Yeah, and you
you're
have
like
to
always
like
always
keep
erasing.
where you keep racing and then drawing, and then you end up with like a
Yeah,
bunch of
yeah, you're just
smudge
like
marks.
constantly erasing, and then yeah, you gotta like yeah, just and then by that time, like if you inked over it, it'll just be like, ah, fuck, this paper is just like there's so many like smudge marks
Yeah.
and should I kind of erase out. And I'm just gonna have to like it'll take forever to like clean this up digitally, and it's just such a pain in the ass. So yeah, yeah.
As I've
What I
gone,
was about to say,
oh,
yeah,
oh
just
no,
using a light
that's
box.
one
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
I
that's all I was
mentioned.
about to say. Just using a light box really, really like really helps and kind of flexes out some options when you're working traditionally.
I don't really have the that issue as
Yeah, yeah,
often now, but like when I was doing, is I also have my own like fan comic that I've done for a while now, and like starting off, like there was a few times where it's like hit a panel, I don't know what I wanted to. If I am terrible at planning, and so I'm just like in my mind, I want the expression to look
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this, and I want it to be like that, and just fucking just put it onto the page and then fucking call it a day. But it's like, sometimes you do it and you're like, this doesn't look right. Maybe I adjust the pupil this way. No, this doesn't look right. And this to erase the right. How many times do you redraw a face before you realize, okay, I should just
Oh yeah. I mean,
scrap
there's been
this?
times even now where I'm actually, as of now, there's a few little comics I just started, but I probably won't be able to finish them because just yet because I'm going out of town again to California for just about a week. But then when I get back, hopefully I can finish the bastards. If I get back, never know what happens out there. But anyway,
It'll be lost.
but anyway, what I was about to say is like, yeah, there's always times where I'm like fucking erasing a panel a million times. Where I'm like, no, it's not right. It's not right. Something's not right. Something's not right. Or like I just try to redraw a certain position or face or expression, or even like if I'm trying to draw something more like atomically correct, like it looks all fucked up. It's not right. I gotta. Oh, that's another fun thing with the Lightbox too. Digitally, you can also just flip, your pencil drawing over to see like if it's all fucked up looking. You're like, oh shit, the face, is that right? Yeah. I thought I looked at it a second ago.
I do not.
But that way, it's kind of nice because even in your pencil stage, you can just be like, oh yeah, it's not quite right yet, or yeah, the leg I didn't see earlier was kind of like fucked up, or that way you don't have to like, you could still do a lot of it just with pencils, which is nice. So that way you don't always have to be looking at a screen or get distracted with other like, internet stuff or social media or whatever or news stuff. You can just be like, oh look, the world's about to end.
Lord.
Ah, fuck. Well.
Again. Well, back onto drawing this.
But and as we all know, especially artists, so easy to get sucked into that too. Sucked into like internet stuff, and then you're like, oh my god, I like wasted hours. It's like a drug. It's like a bad drug. It's like, oh my god, I fucked up, and it's like, oh, what was I doing on Twitter? I wasn't even doing anything important. Like scrolling.
All I was doing was just reading and making myself upset.
That's another thing too. As everyone knows, it's like it's like sometimes you'll ruin your day just by looking at it first thing. It's like look at it, you'll see some like goody article about whatever, and just like what is this shit? I'm perfect.
Oh, see, that goes
look how great I am.
Now that goes to like that's one thing I've learned living on an island, and it goes back to where I was saying about we don't vote for the president. What I've learned. I have picked up the ideal of political nihilism, as I say, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's president, really. It's not going to. It's probably not going to change shit. Shit's still gonna suck, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I think I realized that on the second time that we were threatened with nukes by North Korea, and because the first time I was worried, I'm like, oh no, we're going to die. We're all going to die. And no one cared. And I told people, and they're like, oh, we don't care. I'm like, yeah, I guess. They're like, nah, North Korea ain't shit. It's stupid. And then the second time it happened, then everyone's like, oh my god. Like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. I'm worried for you. And I'm like, fuck it. He's a pussy. He ain't gonna do it. His dad sucks. His dad tried it. He failed. I want him to do it. Do it. No balls. No balls.
Yeah, it's like especially, and then you'll like listen to like sometimes like as I'm drawing, I'll just like listen to like political commentators or something like, let's check out some Noam Chomsky. Oh, we're fucked. It's like doomsday clock. Or I was listening to this other guy that's really interesting. Like, is it William Perry? I think he's like in his 90s. He's like a nuclear kind of watchdog kind of guy. And he has some really startling, scary videos about all that kind of stuff. Like this is how quickly this shit could happen. You know, it's like these are so many ways it could go bad. It's really delicate.
Yeah.
Like here's how delicate it really is. It's like holy shit. Especially when you're hearing that stuff from like really intelligent people. It's like, oh my god. It's like, oh
If he's worried,
well, better black
wow,
that
shit. Yeah. Yeah. I have resigned myself to the imminent death. It'll happen. What are we gonna do? Yeah, because the answer, the one thing I found is that the answer to all the to what do you do is always 100%.
yeah, yeah,
It's nothing. Nothing. You yourself are not
yeah,
going to
yeah.
do shit. You cannot do shit. So political nihilism, baby. Nothing matters. Fuck it. Let's just draw some furries.
Which is another like whole thing. Yeah, I even went this winter. I even yeah, I was at an art show even at a furry convention, the Midwest Fur Festival, the big one in Chicago. Yeah, yeah, and I was
Yeah, I
like, what the
saw.
hell? Let's do it. I don't care anymore. Let's have some fun.
so so how many years? That's like, is that like that's like over 10 years or something? Finally, it's
Well,
like
it's funny
yeah,
because the younger
yeah,
version of me would have been like, "Oh
okay.
no, I would never be caught dead going there." But I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care anymore. I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. Hey, everyone. Hey, gang."
See, that's what I call the furry conundrum. See, a lot of people who are just
I'm
drawing
not a furry.
anthropomorphic animals, like I don't, I like I would consider I wouldn't
You
consider
got a little
myself
fur
like
in you.
full furry, like in the traditional sense. Like my friends, like they're like, but I don't really
Yeah.
regard you as like a furry when I talk about furries, and I'm like, yeah, that's fair. But I'm like, at the same hand, like, all I've been drawing right now
Yeah,
are
yeah,
just
yeah.
these cartoon cats, and you know what? At this point, if I just say that I'm not, I'm just lying to myself. Okay, it's just
Yeah,
all
yeah.
this is.
Actually, I think I even did like on Dumb Comics also. I think I did like a comic where like Taboo does the same thing. He's like, I done like some perverted comic or something, and then Taboo's like, everyone's gonna. He's like at his computer. He's like, everyone's gonna think I'm a furry now, and he's like, then he got like changes into like a more like anthropomorphic kind of meerkat. And he's all like muscular and stuff. He's like, something like you can't beat him, join him, or something like that.
No, I remember that. I think that was actually or on your site specifically.
I was just in denial.
Yeah. You know, oh no, I'm a furry. No, to
It's
be
funny. It's interesting the whole like phenomena of it because I was drawing stuff like that before I even knew what it was.
yeah.
Like someone had to tell me like you know what like furries are.
No.
It's like no. And I was like doing it for like years. Like always I was like cartoony anthropomorphic characters. I was like that's like a thing. Like what is that? And at first I didn't like furries because I didn't know what they were exactly.
Yeah.
Because I just heard like all these like crazy rumors from like the '90s and stuff and I was like, oh, I don't want to be involved with that. I don't know what that is. Like, but that was like early on, and I didn't really, I didn't really know what it was as much because now it's like such a broad,
Uh,
it's like such a broad thing
Spectrum,
to
I
talk about.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's very there's so many like different spectrums of it, dimensions of it,
Mm.
and like people are
It's a bit more socially
furries in
acceptable
different ways.
nowadays.
Yeah, I got that impression last time when I went this December. Actually, I felt like it didn't feel like it seemed like more confidence or like it seemed like people were happier and it was more like a
Mhm.
celebration. Like people weren't like, oh, we're ashamed to be here. Like you didn't get that feeling at all. It was totally like
It's more
it's totally like
casual.
here's a yeah. It was like a big party, a big celebration, like a big party, and that was cool. Like it was good to see that. Like it wasn't like like
And
it
now
was totally
and
like
now you're out and proud.
yeah basically yeah. And you know it's funny too because like I noticed the people generally in the furry community have been like way like nicer and stuff than a lot of like
Regular.
especially when I was like when I was like in LA, like trying to meet like certain like real high up like industry people and so like industry executives and stuff like that. I was trying to talk to those people briefly, not the Dumb Comics people, but like I went to like the CTN and like I was like talking to like these like the executives and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And they're looking at my portfolio like they're like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Like, and then you have to tell them, I don't know. I was hoping you knew. I don't know.
But yeah, and I was like, but I would do that briefly. I was like, I didn't know what I was doing, so I was like, yeah, just talk to some of those like big executives and stuff, and like the more corporate people that you show your portfolios to and stuff like that. And mine was like totally wrong. like I don't know. Hey, is this what you guys do?
And that's when you realize that
Get
you
outta
don't
here.
belong. Maybe this isn't the
Get out of
industry.
here, punk. Get out of here, you little punk.
We have enough furries in this fucking industry. I can barely throw a stick without hitting one.
But I thought, no matter what you thought, kid, this is Hollywood. But no, actually, a lot of like artists and stuff. Yeah, everyone's just like, yeah, most people are pretty cool, and yeah, a lot of people I just never really knew. People are, especially when you work in the industry, and you've really worked with people. It's like it's different. It's like working with it's like people you've been in a job with or something. It's like friends that you make. And if you're kind of like if you're not really an industry person, you don't really know what you're doing. I always felt like to just focus on my own projects and stuff because that's why I always like online too. I always like a lot of independent animators and also artists and stuff, webcomics. I always like people seeing it, or I always like seeing people doing it themselves. Even though there's no guarantee of success or anything. And again, I was moving around so damn much. Like last decade, I was like, here's posting. No, I'm not. Now I am. Where am I? Now I feel like the last 2 years I've kind of like just like calmed down. I'm like, all right, back to work. Where was I? Not move anywhere. Don't need to run around.
I am home, and this is good. We can. Yeah, I know that you're working on another comic thing now, right?
Yeah, I'm just working on some comics, and I also just won a grant too, which is kind of cool. In Wisconsin.
A grant.
I won I won something called the Mary Knoll Fellowship Fund, and which is very helpful. And then later on, we're gonna have a. they're not the people I won with also. They're not like cartoonists. They're more like fine arts, like painting, printmaking, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But and again, like I was like the other one. I'm like I'm the cartoon.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you guys make concept art. I'm like just drawing cartoons, silly cartoons with animals. No, but yeah, I won because they were saying like some of my other stuff with like the subway one and like the Hyena Day one, like the policeman and the little like asshole guy like accusing
the
hyenas of just being there.
It is yeah.
I don't know if you saw that one, the Hyena Day one.
I mean I don't. Oh wait, no. I do remember that one. Yeah, and that's when they eat the pigs. Here, cops.
yeah, they're about to. Yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, so I basically went just for my comics. It wasn't like other artwork or stuff. It was just like strictly comic stuff.
To be fair, like it definitely has its place, and I do like the medium. That's one thing that I always promote and appreciate about webcomics as a format medium, because as I mentioned before with like Rusty, it's you're able to have these varying levels and various styles and various voices in different ways, and all of them work. All of them can be accepted, and
Oh yeah.
it's a level of freedom. You're not really the odd man out anymore because everyone's the odd man out. You can just do whatever the
Yeah.
fuck you want.
There's a lot of, yeah, comic artists that do all sorts of things too. There's comic artists that work in gaming or also in animation or, random
Yeah.
things. And but yeah, trying to make that the main focus, again, it's not easy, but
Yeah.
I'd rather try to do that more than I did before. Basically, not running around like anymore. Don't run around.
Stay.
Like the Buddhists say, you look silly running. Do not run.
You must walk and find yourself. But
Actually, I started meditating the last 3 years, maybe
oh,
2 years.
nice.
Not in any kind of religious way.
Yeah.
But just you don't have to be religious with it. You can just be very fundamental with it.
Mhm.
But I found that could be very helpful, especially in this day and age with all that madness. Remember, like people like yeah, a lot of people are like, especially in the West Coast. You see that meditation and yoga kind of stuff out there.
That hippy dippy stuff,
Well, it's kind of everywhere now. So
Yeah, it's become more mainstream. There's goop and shit or whatever.
oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of phony stuff too. You got to watch out for like any time where it's like here's like a $300 healing crystal you need to buy to make yourself happy. All that kind of crap. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, that
No,
stuff's been there for fucking ages now, so it's not gonna change.
No, I know. It's part of it. It's part of the culture.
I do
But,
want to ask though, because as one of the, and this is probably since you're the only second other webcomic artist who's still an actual webcomic artist, how have you found survival in just being strictly working on webcomics as the way things are now?
well, now that I've just trying to be I've been trying to get back to it just more recently, especially now that I'm not running around anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot more roots I've been taking advantage of more. I'm like, I really need to like focus on Patreon more and kind of stuff like that. Because again, like I said, the last few years were it's like freelancing or working like odd jobs in LA, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, just because a few years before that I was just freelancing. I was like, I'd rather just do that too.
Yeah.
As far as money goes, like I'd rather just try to do that mostly. It's like different commissions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as webcomics now that I want to try to push it more and just kind of focus on that, then like hopefully in a few years it'll be a little bit better, but we'll see. Again, it could be all over the place these days.
That's kind of the thing. That's one of the best things though about webcomics. You don't have to be that great right now.
No, I know. It's funny, yeah. I mean, you'll see, there's all sorts of like genres and stuff. So you always think you're like the odd one out, then you're like, oh, people like that,
especially for the bar of furry stuff. Like you're already steps above like a lot of people right now. So.
Well, that's kind of cool too in a way, because I've been realizing that more the last few years, especially like my last year in LA. I was like, I mean, like I kind of like rather go more like that direction, and like take advantage of the fact that don't be so shy, with the furry community. Don't be like, oh, I don't want to be I don't want to be uncool, and I'm like, I don't care anymore. If I could. Okay.
I mean, it was already pretty fucking edgy, given that, or on Dumb, because, like, as far as no, I don't think anyone else fucking. You literally drew nipples. You gave. It's okay. They can't see it anymore.
But
The site's down. You're safe.
no, I know. Yeah, some of the stuff I was drawing back then was pretty crazy. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it depended where I was living or what I was doing. Like, I was like, am I on a couch? But I do like when people try different things. Even if it doesn't always work. Same with like even directors or other cartoonists or anyone. Like some stuff will work, some stuff doesn't. But you just have to keep going on to. You can't be like, oh, that didn't work. Oh no, you just have to be like,
Well,
whatever.
I'll just try
Just
something
keep
else.
on.
Now we know. Now we know.
And you see it even when you read like artist biographies and stuff like that. You see people going through all different like periods or even like I said, moving around or trying different things. And that's how a lot of it is. It's just kind of like yeah, like sometimes you have to try different things or even allow yourself to make like shit sometimes in order to hopefully make something better later.
Well, I mean
But
the sentiment that I always push, and it's what allowed me to break out of very big and deep funk that I had, is sometimes you just have to say fuck it and do it, even if it's not gonna be great, even if it's not gonna be good. You just say fuck it and just do it, because at least then you have something, and you're better off than when you had nothing.
because there's no guarantees with any kind of art form, you almost have to kind of like just buy the ticket, take the ride. This kind of almost kind of this just what's the word? Kind of like surrender to it. Just be like, I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah.
No, I don't care. Whatever. I'm just gonna do this now. Let's see what happens. Especially
Happiness
when
lies in good. So happiness lies between good and good enough.
yeah, and it's like even when you listen to like I also like a lot of comedians that there's various comedians and when you hear interviews with them too, it's almost like it's very similar in some ways to being a cartoonist because you're not an actor, you're not with like a trio, you're in a band or something. You're kind of just on your own, doing your thing on the stage. The same thing as like a cartoonist. I mean, there's people that work in groups or writer, artist kind
Yeah.
of things. But yeah, it's kind of similar in that way where you're or even a writer of any kind basically because cartoons are you're basically a writer.
Yeah, you're
You
the
know.
writer, artist, and director all in one.
Oh yeah, I was about to talk about that a little bit more. Actually, can I take one more break? I want to keep going. Actually,
Oh,
I can keep going a little bit longer.
oh no, yeah, I
So
don't care. It's all fine.
I just
Have you
got
seen the lengths of our videos? We don't care about length.
I don't have anything to do. I don't mind talking. It's kind of fun. I just have to pee again.
Okay.
Please edit that out.
I need as well.
Or not. I'm back.
Yeah, welcome back. Hey. Here's a good question, because I've been so I had this idea, I had this question in my mind, and I always thought about it.
Oh yeah.
So like like in the podcasts and stuff like with Joe Rogan. Here's a question: how many people he's had so many people on, and they go on for a while.
Yeah.
How many of them do you think have farted in his face? Because like you can't. Someone has had to have let one slip. Like,
I'm sure.
and I just want to kind of think. I'm just thinking. I'm like I went through a podcast and just watching their faces. Think like, that's what he did. And there's something like that. Like, someone's had to have. They had to have. And it's awesome.
No, it's true. I'm sure. I always wonder at even just like just random talk shows too. I'm like, you can tell they're in a closed little space. Sure, something happens once in a while.
Yeah,
Getting older, has to get in there.
I'm sure as as hosts, they have an excellent poker face. They're used to
Oh
this.
yeah,
They're like, can't don't let they were being recorded. Don't let them know.
yeah. Happens all the time.
They're like, this is why we didn't
Happens
get
every
them
time,
back
man.
in. This is why. No, that's why when you look at like late night shows and stuff, you'll see that the guest couch is like 6 feet away from the host table.
Like we always keep it a little distance.
Letterman. That's why Letterman always knew. Or if you watch, but I don't know who the fat guy on Conan is. But hey,
Oh
he
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
likes
forgot.
it. That's why he's always next to them. He
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
off on it. Don't you know?
Keep a little distance. Keep a little distance. Keep a little distance.
uh, but anyway,
Oh yeah, another thing I was going to talk about. I don't know if that was it, but also kind of like talking about comics as like a for like as a form of writing basically.
oh yes, yeah.
Sometimes like it could be just silly nonsense. It doesn't matter. But it is like a form of writing, even if you're doing something like a really intense graphic novel or something like Maz or something.
Yeah.
But
Which
but it's
now that's
interesting
been
to,
pulled.
yeah. Oh, was that banned?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
because it had like
Oh yeah.
mouse tit.
Oh, weird. I'm surprised
It was not a scene where you should jerk off, of course, but
it was banned because of a mouse. It was so stylistic too. It's like it's not really like pornography at all. It's like seeing a Virgin Mary tit or something. It's like, oh, there's some Roman statue. It's not really like hot. It's just kind of like graceful or whatever. Like, oh, it's kind of weird. Yeah, I saw him speak years ago too, Art Spiegelman at UWM. It was funny. He was the only one allowed to smoke. He was like, he was like in this auditorium inside the university, and he was the only one allowed to smoke cigarettes. It was hilarious. I was like, oh, that's funny. And like he's just on stage, just like smoking, and and even like the after thing. There's like a little after party. Again, I don't have what's that called Tourette syndrome. Like my cat was making me gag like a few hours ago, and I'm like my neck's all screwed up.
It's like I can only imagine like everyone in the crowd is like because nowadays like it's such a taboo thing. It's like, dude, is he allowed to do that? I've never seen that.
Excuse me. No, because yeah, it was funny. My cat had thrown up all over, and I was literally like, and I'm like, oh god, time to do an interview. Hey everyone, give me another cigar. But anyway, yeah. As far as like writing goes, yeah, I realized too, it's fun to like try different forms of even like the process. Like let's literally try writing some comics. Like let's take out the old word processing program and literally like write scripts. Let's try doing that. So that's what I've done recently for the last few I've done, and even just different trying like different ways of writing, like just chicken scratch doodles. Just trying. Yeah, just seeing what works. Like just having notebooks that are real loose, having notebooks that are a little bit tighter. Just kind of having fun with like the process and be like, well, like let's try typing for a little bit, or let's just do some little doodles. But also getting back into the rhythm of it, like not just making a comic and then a few months later making a comic, but like really getting on it and be like, all right, let's start getting back into production.
That's what I've noticed. Is like, or what I've found is,
slacking.
I call it the snowball technique.
Yeah.
You start off with a small ball, and then you just roll it. Just keep rolling and building and building and building on it steadily and surely, and it'll
Yeah.
become a bigger thing. And that's just, you just gotta keep at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they just reminded me though, when you were talking about the lightbox thing.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting that you do that way, because I do the reverse, where or that I've been doing the reverse for False Idol, which is the comic that I'm working on now, in which I will do the entire, because I have all the comic pages are traditional. Like I
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
traditional copy of them, and at like the first two pages, I was like, oh, we'll just do full digital. And I'm like, oh no, this does not work. This isn't right. Or like I trace over it with in digital.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not working. What I found best, or looks really nice, is just scanning the page, and then of course, lowering the opacity, and then doing the inks in digital, but then bringing back the opacity, and then just keeping it like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that way you have those full lines that you would have for inking, but you still have a rough edges on the end, and you're able to have the finer points and stuff
Oh yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
and keep that sort of thing. And it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I discovered too. Yeah. There's different ways of working that can really kind of sometimes bring out different ideas or different like or kind of like flex how you would normally draw. Like
Mm-hmm.
like for example, like years ago, I would only I would have the final bristle board all ready to go. Everything has to be penciled, inked right on there. How most people would usually do it. It would also it's cool these days how it's like I can do some of this in pencil. And I do want to change that though. I really hate how this is like that. I don't really want to erase all that just on
Mm-hmm.
the paper. I just want to maybe clean that up digitally or whatever. Or maybe I want to construct what I was doing like with some of my comics, like even like the tea time one with Grime and like the girls night out one where they're it's like the black and white one from years ago, like 2014, where
Yeah.
they're like in the forest with the sugar weasels.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And some of that was actually just drawn in like sketchbooks, like really, really loosely. And now, yeah, I would just use my cell phone and take pictures, and then
Oh.
just reposition them in the panels like that. So that way, it kept like it's kind of a cool way of working because it kept everything so loose. Like I would just literally like sit in a chair or like on a futon and just sit there and like make little like scribble drawings and then just be like, well, I'll clean these up a little bit later when I ink them, or whatever, and just kind of reposition them where I want to, because that way you can kind of in your penciling process, you can almost kind of go a little like crazier. You can see like
Yeah.
you can almost it's almost like doing different takes. Like, does this take work? Does this expression work? Well, let's just try it. I don't have to use it. But let's try that. Like that's not working. Let's try this. And that rather than being like it has to be perfect right out of the chute. Like there's the final page, it has to be perfect right out of the chute. Instead of and I'm not saying that's even a better way of working. Like just drawing right on the paper is perfectly fine. And I do that too. But it is cool to kind of like discover different ways of working that kind of
That
alter.
works best for you.
Yeah, they kind of like alter the flow of how you work. Like I said, rather than having like perfectly drawn out pages from the start, just drawing, in a notebook, random
Hmm.
expressions or positions that might work and kind of collage them in to, like the comic page, like the way you want. So it is your drawings. It's just like they're they're reconfigured. I was
Yeah.
like, these are traditionally drawn, kind of, but they're reconfigured.
Yes. Uh, I that just reminds me though, like I'm dumbfounded by people who draw pens. I've always been very fucking hesitant about inking because I know
Yeah,
my hands and I'm not that steady. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh no, I messed up here. Well, shit. Oh well.
yeah.
Well,
Inking is like I noticed like each part of the process, it almost seems to use like different parts of your brain. Like here's
mm,
the writing process. Okay, now I'm penciling. Now I have to think about how does this look? Where it should be standing? Like, does this expression work?
yeah.
No, is that too stupid or is it not? Is it too obvious or whatever? And then you're like, all right, this time to actually ink this, and it's almost like a different part of your brain. You're like, okay, what am I using now? Okay, the brush pen. Am I using like some fountain pen here? It's
Now
almost like a
see,
different like mode each time. Sorry, I'm gonna grab my tea right here. I'm not hanging up.
now see, that's like what I've learned, or what the only way that I find that I can actually fucking work is by just finding the right attitude and setting myself down. Because I don't know if it's just my fucking ADHD, but I find like if I sit myself down in an empty room and a notebook and like force myself to draw, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I can't do this. And I have to essentially like have
Almost like
something else.
yeah,
Like, yeah, and I have to fucking enter a fugue state essentially. Where it's like I'm not thinking about it, and I'm just fucking doing it, and that's the only way I can fucking work.
yeah. It's like sometimes yeah, it's nice to have like a little distraction or something.
Mm.
Like you don't have to give yourself too much pressure. Like oh shit, like it's just me in the paper. Oh god damn it, I don't know. Turn on something. Turn on a movie.
What am I doing?
No, I know. Although sometimes it is good to have it like totally quiet though.
Yeah,
I find like if I'm trying to do more writing, like writing, or just like ideas and stuff, I usually like just to try to have like no music or some kind of like something instrumental that's not like too busy. Even kind of even when I was talking about like some of those like really early underground comics from like the late '60s and '70s, you would kind of see a similar thing too, where you'd have like different magazines with different artists, but a lot of times you'd see the same names. They're almost like they always kind of like knew each other, and I always thought that was kind of cool. They're like in the same thing, and they kind of knew each other, kind of like collaborating and stuff. So yeah, I always thought that was kind of like a interesting way of working.
yeah, made it seem like a more of a network kind of thing.
Yeah, where it's not necessarily an industry thing, but it's just more like a group. And you see that too on the internet. You see artists that know each other and stuff like that, or different like kind of organically forming groups of people.
Yeah, yeah,
Where people just know each other over time and stuff like that, or have like a similar kind of like comic style, maybe. If that makes sense.
no, I understand what you mean. Like, there's a number of artists that I could name that are like they like draw each other's characters and things like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, even in the non-comic stuff, even in like the fairy world, you'll see that where like
oh well, yeah,
I
especially in
I've done it too a few times where like yeah, you just like draw someone's character and stuff that all that kind of stuff, and then you'll see people like doing like more elaborate fan art of different people's characters, which is kind of cool. It's like oh yeah, they're like doing a whole like series like based on like these characters. I've seen that a few times. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I mean, that's literally what I've been doing, but
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that, where it does not even have to be like you could just be using characters, like new stories, just using different characters.
that's one thing. That's one of the great things about the internet, or well, yeah,
You can
depending on
do
how
whatever
you
you want.
look at it. Yeah, and it's like we're free to fake fan art and stuff and that sort of thing, and it's incentivized. One question though, that I'm curious about how you're for because one of the biggest problems that I figure or I find with webcomics, and especially nowadays, like a lot of people, it's hard to. On the one hand, like there's a few more outlets with the rise of like Tapastic and webtoons
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
particular. Like a lot of people have started to move over to there, and you're maybe starting to see a rise again in uh, new web comics and people trying their hand at it. But one of the biggest hurdles is has always been and will always be because of just the fact that it is the internet and it's a free medium, so anyone with time and talent can just throw their hat into the ring.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I like that. I like how there's
one,
no like border. It's like no, you have to be a publisher. You have to have a publisher. I mean, sometimes it's good
yeah,
and bad depending. I guess some people are like, no,
yeah.
there should only be publishers.
No, the problem. Well, the only problem is that with it is that like it's what is that a lot of comics that I know and love, like they're it's hard to find people or it's hard to find an audience and it's hard to kind of put yourself out there, and it's like, well, where do we start? How do you even go about promoting your stuff and that sort of thing? How have you been able to find like your audience in order to make things work?
I'd say more recently, especially like Twitter and stuff. Although I mean, I hate social media at the same time, but I mean, you have to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's good things about it too,
Mhm.
especially when you find new artists and stuff like that. They're really good. Or comic artists also,
Mhm.
or even or animators or anyone like that. And
Yeah.
so it's really cool to see like a lot of diversity, but it's still always hard to find like the stuff that you like the most. Like really find your niche and stuff like that, or and also try to sell your stuff to different niches,
Yeah.
especially when you don't even know what your niche exactly is. It's like, well, it's kind of cartoony, furry, but
It's not
I
like
don't, I don't, I don't know what it is.
not that furry, I don't know.
It's kind of like silly, but sometimes violent.
Yeah, it's edgy, it's crude.
Like,
I don't know.
I picked up a good furry book called what
Fan
yeah,
base
what
or
was it? It's also a webcomic. Let's see. Yeah, it's called Non-Pack. At Non-Pack comic.
non-pack.
Yeah, it's kind of like an adventure furry comic, but yeah, it's really violent. Like, damn, it's real cartoony
Oh,
too. It's like real cartoony, but at the same time, really violent. It's about like these drug dealing animals,
nice.
and I think it's drawn by Red Rangy. That's a pretty good one. Like if you like yeah, real good violent like furry comics. There's that other one too from Spain that I think he's either French or Spanish. I thought he was Spanish. Oscar Martin, the guy that did like
Hmm.
solo like the rat solo, and this is like really violent. It's really well drawn though. That's another thing about those European comics is like they're really Japanese too. There's like so much like attention to craft and stuff like that that I always like. I'm like, damn, those fucking ink lines. Like, when you look at some of those animes and mangas,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's like, damn,
Well, I mean, I feel like part of it is just because like as Americans, we are of course we're much bigger for our artistic stuff in terms of like you know traditional in terms of like comics and just a lot of digital things. Like if you look at like digital artists and stuff like that, a lot of them are in America and stuff like that. And so because I have a friend who's from Bolivia, and he's he's talked a lot about like there's some problems with trying to about what, or his hopes of like trying to move out to America so that he can, make it more of a full time job and, get be more lucrative about it.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
and it comes, and especially when you're coming from, from foreign places where that's not maybe not where it's not as popular. Like you feel like you need to stand out. You need to raise the bar so that you can try and match everything else that's out there.
yeah,
Because otherwise, it's not going to be as great. You don't, because you don't have the same like opportunities as you don't feel like you have the same opportunities as you would in as an American artist.
yeah. No, yeah. Especially yeah, coming from another country, and yeah, especially like I said, just even being in like South Korea just 1 year, like was like enough to. I mean, that was just a taste of like that was that's like a little taste of how it can feel to certain people. Not even like that's like a little nothing, but just enough to give you like, oh yeah, like like when you're
The concept of what it's like to be away from the things that you have. You really, there's a lot of things that we just take for granted here.
and even when you're in
You know?
Korea too, you're like, oh, I'm an American and I have a job here, and and it still feels, and even then you're still getting like, oh yeah, I'll always be an outsider here. That's interesting. Like not
Yeah.
of like rudeness or anything, but you'll always be an American. You'll never be. You'll even if you try to speak the language and everything, like you'll still you'll never be a Korean.
Yeah, from the outward perspective, you'll always seem
You'll still
like
be
the odd
accepted and
man out.
everything.
Yeah,
For
but
example,
yeah,
I mean, I was
but
only
yeah,
there a year, so I'm not like an expert even now on Korean culture. It's interesting when you spend time over somewhere because you realize how little you really know. And instead of getting like initial culture shock, you almost get like it almost gets stronger the longer you're there. Like you see, like, oh yeah, it's such a deep, different culture. Not in a bad way at all. It's just like, wow, this is so different and interesting. And
yeah. You
you'll always see it
realize,
from like an outsider. You'll always be like, I'm an American.
you start to realize what the actual norms are now.
Yeah, yeah. And then when people come to America, and yeah, they're always like, you better fit in right away. It's like Jesus Christ, slow down. They're coming from like completely different environment. A world that you have no idea. And even in LA, yeah, you saw a lot of like racism and stuff too. I was surprised. I was like, yeah, there's like tent cities out there too. Like in LA.
Oh well, yeah, of course.
It's amazing. It's like here's like this tent city, and here's the Hollywood Bowl. It's like, oh yeah, here's Beverly Hills.
And there's the crackhead who's just singing for no one, begging for change. Actually, they're not even begging for change; they're just being weird.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was in Hollywood a few times, and more than enough times. Yeah, it's
So weird.
it's interesting for sure because there's nowhere else like it. There's nowhere else quite like that.
Yeah.
Even like New York is different. Like it still has that energy in New York, but it's like a totally different energy. But yeah, like when you're out there, it's like in like some of those places, yeah, it's like you really see how like yeah, the craziness of it, the madness of it all. Like I said, that's why I liked hiking so much. It's like time to get out, time to get some peace. Give me peace from the madness.
Yeah, you're in the forest and there's no hobos there.
Oh, my cat's scratching at the door. It's okay.
Oh.
She's okay.
But anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, yeah. So it's like yeah, as far as comic stuff now, yeah, yeah. Like I'm glad I won that grant recently. Very thankful for that, and that can allow me a little bit more time to make some comics and stuff. Animation too, I want to do a little bit more, but I don't want to. Again, I just want to go, more. I might even like try different like film festivals and stuff too, which might be kind of fun, like animation festivals and stuff. But yeah, just the internet, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Just different venues, different routes. That's always how it's always felt with comics too. It's like it's always felt like, well, try this route. Now you try this route. Now try this. Now try that. Now try advertising. Now don't try advertising. Now post here. Now don't post there. Do a Pinterest. Don't do a Pinterest. Do Tumblr. Now Tumblr sucks. Now do Tumblr again. It's like I'll probably I might even restart Tumblr again. I used to have a Tumblr account years ago.
I think. Well, I mean, like I'm still. Well, I'm. Yeah, I still post on Tumblr. Like that's where my comic is, and most of my stuff. But it's interesting because like everyone talks about like how Tumblr's dead, and it kind of
I kept
is.
hearing that.
However, like you'll notice. But you notice, or what I've noticed at least, is that there's still a number of artists that are still around there. And part of it is because, that's where all their stuff is. And, you've already set up, you already sunk in that much, and you may as well keep it. But like, there's an artist, Steedlenick. Have you heard of them?
Sounds familiar. If I see it, I'll probably recognize it.
They do like, they're like, a big ink artist. They're another furry artist. One of their more popular stuff is like their Halloween special with like the ghost dog and the relationship and stuff. But like, yeah, they post all their stuff on on Tumblr still, and it's pretty good. It's great. That's where a lot of like newer artists come from. Like, or at least all the ones that I know of.
I wonder if I'm following on a different profile. Sometimes I'm following people, I don't realize it.
That's one thing that I want to dive into with the Let's Read series, because there's also like, so there's a subset of art that sprung out of Tumblr, which we kind of see it. It's not really taken at full advantage of now, but it's Ask Blogs, where people would like ask characters a question and then we'll draw the response and then they make a story out of that.
Yeah, stuff like that's pretty cool. Especially when it's more interactive.
Yeah, it's really cool. It kind of reminds me of like the initial premise of Homestuck, and Prequel. It does a better job of it because they actually integrate that sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
where it's like you ask them things and you make choices or suggest choices for the character to do and stuff like that, and it's really interesting. And I think like stuff like that is what really helps to showcase what the format of webcomics is capable of, because it's not like you can do that for any other medium. You can't fucking, well, okay, no, maybe in TV, vote now to have this.
If you want Smallmoo to be the fifth smiling friend, text Smallmoo to 555-0100. And if you don't, text No! I really, really, really don't want Smallmoo to 555-0100.
We are waiting for your call.
Vote now on what's going to happen in the episode. This or this. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, it's such an interesting medium, and I'm glad. I'm hopeful to see like new people do that, but I still hate Tapastic and Webtoons, if only because they don't let me fucking save. Why won't you let me save the page? That's fucking why.
Yeah,
why not?
Some weird limitations too. Kind of like Instagram too. Like I still hate Instagram. You always have to like resize weird ways.
Oh god,
here's
yeah.
Time
That's why I can't even.
Time to reclip. Time to re-edit.
That's why I can't even think about fucking posting shit on Twitter and stuff. Because even Twitter, it's like 4 pages or 4 pictures. We'll resize them.
In fact, for a while, I was just keeping my stuff 4 pages just for Twitter. I was like, I'll just keep them 4 pages. In a way, that's kind of cool too, because you can actually do a lot depending on what you're doing with like 4 pages. Like sometimes I'll read comics and I'll realize later, wow, that was only 4 pages. Like, you know, like again, we were talking about it could be anything like Tank Girl or whatever. You'd be like, oh yeah, like a lot happens in like yeah, just like 4 or 5 pages. I had no idea. In my mind, I always thought this was like 20-page story. Yeah,
A
yeah,
bigger
it's interesting.
thing. Yeah.
Then some comics really read like movies, like even like real famous ones. Like even though I'm not into superhero stuff too much, but yeah, even stuff like The Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller and stuff like that. Like 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 those
Yeah.
were even like pretty like amazing how the pace was. Even like the really sketchy kind of artwork style. I remember when I was reading that too a
Mhm.
few years ago. I was like, wow, it's almost like reading a movie. You're like, wow, now this, damn. It was like, and it was very like, it was very, it was less about like making really amazing superhero art, kind of pin up stuff, and more just about like story,
Mhm.
like telling. Such as like like a famous example, as far as like stuff like that. But usually I don't really read superhero stuff
I
as
just,
much. Unless it's like just really
I,
different, or someone really recommends something to me, like you should really check out this one, or you know some kind of like something that really stands out, I guess. But yeah, most of the stuff as far as comics I would read would be just a lot of I don't know, I guess I'm kind of all over with them, but like all over the place, like old stuff, newer stuff. Even though I don't like keep up on modern cartoons as much, like I did actually really enjoy. I'm just gonna it's gonna sound so furry, but I did actually really enjoy Beastars. I thought it was really good. I was
yeah.
surprised.
I've been, yeah, I've heard about that one. I haven't
Yeah,
watched
yeah,
it myself. I don't really keep
yeah,
up
yeah.
with anime, but yeah, it looks
And
really
I'm
good.
surprised because I haven't watched too much anime. There's actually a few things I've really liked, even though I don't keep up on it as much. It's like a few friends of mine that like really know I have a few friends, especially in Chicago, that like really know anime and like really know both manga and anime. Like they're like just experts at it. But I never watched too many, and then I checked out Beastars and I was surprised. I was like, that's actually really good. It was kind of like watching I don't know, some kind of Japanese movie or something on like the Criterion Collection or something. Like, oh, it's really like good story, and characters are dimensional, and it's not stupid or hokey, or you know what I mean. It was like, oh, it's just legitimate,
Yeah.
like well told like story. And the
Story
characters are
and
interesting.
stuff.
It's not
Yeah.
just like, oh god, like who is this? It's this character's annoying. Okay. It was like, oh, this is like each character's pretty interesting. They all have like deep like psychological like issues and stuff. It's like, oh, that's interesting. I like that. That's kind of a different dimension that I haven't seen too much of. So that was actually pretty cool. And again, this is coming from someone that doesn't watch like too much anime, just like here and
Yeah.
there. So I was actually like pretty impressed. And I kept it in Japanese too. I like hearing the language. I don't like hearing the dubs. I like hearing like I don't know. That way you can hear like all the inflections and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like the original way it's like spoken. I always thought that's cool.
So
Even though I
subs
don't know
overdubs.
Japanese,
Yeah.
I don't know Japanese at all. By the way, I don't even know Korean. Even though I was in Korea.
Look, he may be a furry, but
Uh,
he's not a fucking weeb. It's okay.
yeah, I don't know it too much. Although I do think Japanese culture is awesome. Like, in fact, just recently I was at in Chicago. Things have started to open up a little bit more. I visited Chicago and like went to this really cool Korean spa, and then we went to this Japanese area, and and they had like this like amazing like bookstore with like really good art supplies and like tons of manga and stuff too. It looked like a lot of just really interesting random stuff too.
Oh
But
yeah. Always going to. I
oh,
love going to the
it
anime
also great
stores.
tea. Yeah. All that kind of stuff is like really cool. And I love Japanese food. I love the matcha tea.
But anyway, I
We
think.
talked for a long time.
Oh
We
yeah,
have to do
it's
like a
already.
part one and part two.
We're getting into like 3 hours, but I think I mean that's probably 30 minutes from the breaks, but you know that's good.
Yeah,
We should probably end it here.
Yeah, it's totally up to you.
No.
You could do a part 1 and part 2. Like part 1 of conversation, part 2.
I don't care. Or any other case,
Hopefully, I didn't say anything too incriminating.
no, no. If anything, we just learned that you're a almost homeless nerd.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's the moral of this story.
Rambling man. He's a rambling man.
Hey, it's all good.
Rambling around.
Any case, Eddie's gonna do it for us today. Yeah.
Is there an outro?
Before we go, tell the good people where to find you, because unlike a lot of things, we can actually find you.
Yeah, and some of these social media accounts are newer too. I started some newer ones recently. Like
Yeah.
my Twitter account I was using. Well, I started this Twitter account like over 10 years ago, but I haven't really started using it until like 2018 or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that was called at Balsley _OG. So that's at BALSLEY and that one has like a lot of like kind of more random art and like commission art.
Remember,
more
the
furry
two
stuff.
L's are not together. Don't do it.
Yeah, BALSLEY.
Yeah.
And then I just started this different one recently. Sorry, I got all these damn accounts. All these goddamn accounts.
Don't you have like
But,
3 Twitters?
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. Who knows?
One of them has to work.
This other one is more the one I want to keep more for cartoony stuff. Or more of my stuff I want to do. Like less commission stuff. And more just kind of like, just
Posting
cartoon related stuff. Or just random sketchbook stuff. And that one is at JW _BALLZ.
Yes.
And then I know.
Well, you were blessed with the name. You have to use it.
But this one too. One more. I'm sorry. But then my strictly comic one, which is probably the one, if you just want to read my comics, that's probably the best one to follow. And that one is just Devil's Henchmen Comics. The Twitter handle for that is at Comics Devils. And that's just Comics Devils.
So a straightforward one.
Yeah,
I'm
that
surprised
one's
that's not
pretty
taken. There's not like some. That sounds like some fucking indie publisher or something. You would have.
But and then my main site is just devilshenchmen.com, which I recently also found is a real motorcycle gang. So maybe someday they'll actually come for me and beat me up, which would be kind of exciting in a way.
They're gonna outbid you for the domain.
Like, God damn it, we're the Devil's Henchmen. I'm like, I'm sorry. Don't kill me.
They're like, I'm just a furry, please. Don't want any
I like to
trouble.
watch motorcycle movies.
Wait a second. What are these motorcyclists that you drew? I see. Are you saying we're like Nazis? No.
Yeah, I know we're wrapping up, but yeah, that's another thing I like too. Is a lot of like those crazy ass like 1970s like kind of like grindhousey movies, like a lot of those like motorcycle movies, because they're just like they do shit that is just like what the that's crazy. It's like some of the scenarios and stuff, and some of it, some of them are pretty. Not all of them are good, but there's some really good ones. Like the Switchblade Sisters is really entertaining. Stuff like
that. Before we go, though, I did want to ask before I let you free. What are your final thoughts about Dumm? Because now that we are looking at it posthumously, because you did leave, because you left before it fully died.
Yeah, I think Dirk was the last one.
Yeah, Dirk was the last one to post.
Yeah.
But
but no, I mean, I was thankful actually for the opportunity a lot, and it was cool to be with a lot of other cartoonists and stuff like that. And it's cool. It kind of disintegrated. That's what happens, especially um, if you are working full time in the industry. Demands. It's a lot of work. So
yeah, having to balance it out like that.
and the fact that a lot of them were doing comics too, and even and even side projects now is pretty cool. Because it does take a lot of energy to work like storyboard all day and then to actually be like, all right, let's make this comic happen.
Yeah, have even more things. Yes,
and but yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, you've seen a few like other things online too, like again, like you mentioned, Hiveworks too, like Hiveworks and a few other things like that. Yeah, it's cool to see like different collectives happen. But yeah, I like it the best too when people really know each other and stuff like that. When you see like little homegrown kind of things happen.
Yeah.
That's kind and that's kind of what I said before too. I kind of felt like Dumb Comics was really the people that it was started with people that really worked together and knew each other, that were friends and stuff. I came in late. Like I remember, I never knew like.
You were kind of in the middle, like
Yeah.
especially after Jack Cusimano came out, like left
Yeah.
Red Raz. It's like
Yes. So like it was just a different time. And again, I never worked in the industry myself and didn't really know what I was doing. Like I said, I was pretty clumsy when I was out there. I was like, I was just like not doing anything right. I was like, is this what you do? Oh shit, I'm not familiar with anything out here. I'm not familiar with the shows. What am I doing?
I don't know.
Like I'm into like all this like fucking obscure shit that no one knows, that no one wants to like watch or read. It's like here you like this movie and this old movie from 1930 and I like this blues song. Oh is that good? Is that amazing? Like yeah whatever. No, I'm just joking. But no, it's funny because I think for anyone that works in like any kind of industry, you also really you have to be familiar and you really have to love it too. You really have to be like, this is what I want to do, And if you're on the fence about it, you might not be happy with it. Maybe you'll really like it. I don't know. Everyone has different experiences, Some people love it. Some people are like, this is my life dream and I love it, Some people work in it and they hate it. I've heard there's people that are in it, but at the same time they hate it. I've heard people that are so with it. They're like, that's fine. And I've heard people that love it too. People that are like, I love it. This is awesome. So everyone's different with it. It's the same thing with like, when you're also like independent cartoonists and stuff. Like it's not. Again, it's almost like a bohemian lifestyle. It's almost like you gotta like. You're always kind of trying to figure different things out. They're like, it's almost like a band or something. You're like, all right, what do we do now? We gotta get another gig.
Working, trying to make.
Yeah. So it's like, at the same time, I think with any artist, you gotta like any kind of art you do, whether it be music or writing or dancing or anything. Yeah, ultimately you just gotta stay. It sounds so fucking hallmarky, but yeah, you just gotta like stay true to yourself. You just have to do the stuff that you think is good, and even if it's not or doesn't work out, you still have to keep doing it.
Yeah, because like, I was just gonna say like, because especially for internet artists, like for the most part, you're gonna be alone, and all you have is yourself. So if you hate it and you hate yourself, well then you're kind of screwed.
I'm stuck with myself all day. Oh, fuck. Oh shit. Because some people do. I remember I was years ago. I was working at an art store and I was talking with someone and they were like, I was talking about like, oh yeah, I just want to start freelancing more, pretty soon. And they're like, oh, I hate it. I have to be around people. And I'm like, oh, see, I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I'd rather just like freelance and like live in a cave. I mean, even then, actually, you do have to balance it out. You can't just like too much of it. Like too much, you got. Even if you're doing your comics, you have to like take breaks.
Yeah.
Or any kind of art. like sometimes I'll post a lot, like here's something, and then sometimes I'll be like, here's a week and a half later, okay, here's something, you know. But sometimes you just have to, uh, like I know we're wrapping up, but I remember you talking also to some people about like having a schedule.
Mhm.
Like I don't know if I'll ever have a strict schedule, but I would like to be more consistent, you know.
Yeah.
Like have something like every few day-ish is
As
or,
the as our great
or
conversation with Rusty had mentioned,
yeah.
consistency is key, and you have to just be diligent about it, and you have to have the will. You have to have a strong willpower to fucking just keep at it.
No, it's true. Yeah. You have to kind of be your own muse in a way. You can't be like because you can't be like because you're not being told what to do. You know, no one's like telling you to do anything. Like make it like this, make it like that. Like you know, your art director wants this. You know, you're just on your own. Like this is this any good? I don't know. Here's something.
I think it's good enough. Well, fuck it.
Here you go, internet.
Send it out. No one's watching
Send it
anyway.
out. Yes. No one's watching anyway. So here you go.
Yeah.
Here's the party right here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I'll with any kind of art ultimately. But yeah, you just have to ultimately maintain and not second guess yourself for not fitting in with a certain like an industry or something. You should just be like, well, that's not for everyone. 'Cause there's a while too where I was like hard on myself. I was like, I'm not in the industry. I'm not in the industry. I know so many people that are, and then I realized, I know a lot of people that aren't either, and they're they're successful and they're doing it different ways.
And if they can do it, so can you.
And sometimes you don't even have to be. There's this really good you might have seen it. It's like a really good comic. Basic, yeah. It's like this really good comic with Bill by Bill Watterson. He's basically
Oh,
basically saying the same thing.
that's not Is it not Calvin and Hobbes?
No, yeah, not Kelvin and Hobbes. It was one he did after, because he did like a few little things after, as far as comics go. And he did this one basically saying the same thing. It's like, yeah, people are gonna are gonna think that like, you're a flake or something if you take a day job or something like that, and they're gonna tell you a million other ways to, well, you should go into corporate, or you should go into this, it's like ultimately you just gotta like, if you really believe in it, you just gotta keep doing it, even though it sounds corny. Just believe in yourself, believe. But it's true though. I mean, you just gotta have you also just gotta have fun with it and not take it real seriously. It's almost like because if you take it too seriously, then it stops becoming
It's
fun.
a fucking chore,
Like,
and you're just gonna grind yourself down.
I hate doing that. Then it's like you don't want to like burn out or something, or try to be Superman all the time. Like I can do 1,000 comics in a second. And sometimes you can be very productive, but not always very good. You can be like, be very prolific, but how many of these are good?
How many of these are worth sharing?
Yeah.
So,
And even as far as like other cartoonists I like, or even movie directors, you'd be like, yeah, that guy wasn't super productive, but damn, I really liked what he did. Or even like you could take someone super famous, like Stanley Kubrick or something. It's like, yeah, he wasn't producing a movie every single year, but the ones he made were like really good. It's like, here's 5 years here, 10 years in between. All right, here's a new one. It's like, oh, it was worth waiting for, But not that I don't want to do that with my comics, I still want to be, relatively productive. Especially comics, you don't have to deal with a cast or crew or lighting and all that kind of stuff.
that's one of the few perks. Is that that's the perk about being a webcomic artist. You are your own boss, and no one can tell you no, and you don't have to fucking rely on other people. The con, though, is that you are your own boss, and thus you are your worst and best worker, and no one can tell you no.
No, it's true. Learning to be your own secretary is a whole other thing. I'm definitely not there yet. It's like something you really have to, be very diligent with.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I feel better than I feel more. I feel that I learned a lot more recently than I did in the past, though. Just with like,
You're always growing and always learning.
oh yeah, and you can never be, you just got to keep doing it, and again, not take it so seriously to the point where you're going like crazy or killing yourself.
Yep.
maybe do that. Actually, every time I say something, I always hear another part of myself saying, "Well, there's exceptions."
Well, maybe if you
Sometimes
did
it's
this.
good to stay up for like days on something. Sometimes it's actually fun if you're just like, I haven't done that for a while, but yeah, just like really being like intense with stuff and just like staying up for days, and that can also burn you out too if you're not careful. It's good to have some balance, rhythm, some kind of rhythm.
Yeah, you just got to be happy with yourself. That's it.
It's true. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, folks. Nothing complicated. Keep it steady. Keep it easy. Take it easy, greasy.
One final thing before we leave. What webcomic would you recommend to the people to read?
Let's see. Yeah.
Other than your own, of course.
Yeah. The one I mentioned. Yeah, the non-pack by Rad Rangy is a pretty good one if you like adventure fairy art that's real.
To be fair, we probably should read more furry comics. I mean, I opened Pandora's box when we read Two Kinds and got the most average views per episode. Which, yes, easy, quick.
I've also been liking this real simple, fun little comic called Pink and Black. It's a cool little comic.
What's that?
Yeah, I don't know what the genre is, but it's just this funny little, just cute like comic about like this little salamander, like these pink and black salamanders. It has a cool little art style. I hate it when I say it. It's a cool little art style. No, I mean it's a very nice art style. There's a lot I'm leaving out. I always hate it when I do like some like, oh fuck, I should have mentioned that too. And also like I mentioned like Beastars. I really like the artist too. I don't even know how to say her name. I'm gonna sound stupid, but
Don't want to make a fool of ourselves even more.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I have very much already. But yeah, the original artist of Beastars. Even though I like the show too, I actually like her artwork, and her mangas are really cool. And the original Beastars manga, yeah, really nice, really cool, like art style. Okay, let's see. Okay, and,
Definitely worth a look.
I mean, she's pretty, obviously very well established, but.
I don't know. I don't think she necessarily needs the pull of this video.
Yeah.
But if you also have time, you go check them out.
I don't know any of these people, by the way. Yeah, I don't know these people personally, but these are just some things I've been reading and liking, and also like again, he's also someone that's been around for a while. But yeah, Tony Millionaire's Mackies is always fun. Great drunken comic. That's not really like a web comic. That's more, well, it's on the internet, but
in either case, that should do it. Play us out.
Let's see. What should I play? I can or should I do an accordion? I can do a few. You can mix them up, mix and match. Well, you could do a beat. I could play.
Go with your heart.
See.
And so that was the end as the boys went off into the dusted trail. As the moon began to rise in the sky and the fire burned low. The darkness surrounded the boys. they forgot to pack a tent, and thus would later die by exposure come sunrise.